7.
Oh,
Correct.
George Camus.
And Alex can bail. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. Okay, will do.
Thanks, Alex.
Oh, that's great.
Thank you.
Sorry that you had to get up and come turn the computer on. Should be like drinking champagne in your robe right now.
Plenty hot. Move this.
Thank you.
All right, we are gonna truck along with the agenda, but we're gonna move the like goals and 5-year plan closer to the end to make sure that we get like the logistical stuff checked off.
Are we also compressing the meeting from that would have happened?
The dream is to be
Wednesday.
done by 1. Oh yeah, we're just, this is all.
Okay,
We're just
thank you.
combining it all together. So we're not gonna go over, there has been no mail, there has been no change to finances. We're skipping all that stuff we normally do. Nothing has happened in the last month, been pretty chill. So we'll just jump right in. So, Estacada Creek's lit.
Yep.
Jean, I got like 7 people signed up,
Oh, great.
but 8.
That's great.
Hold
7.
on.
I just signed my daughter up yesterday.
Oh, there it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, actually.
Oh, that's nice.
Mhm.
Cool. I haven't
And only
posted
2
it.
of those are you and your daughter.
Incredible.
So 7 other people.
Oh, nice. So I'll put 7 plus Autumn. I met with Zach yesterday. We're gonna co-lead it. I'm so excited. He's so
Nice.
fun. I did have a request. If you know where the collage supplies are, if we can get collage supplies there, that would be really awesome. We're gonna do that for a location, like setting, part of the workshop. I think we have all the other supplies. He was saying he'd just open the craft closet and we can rate it as needed.
If you just let me know when you can just swing by my house. It's
Okay.
in my garage.
Okay. Oh, great. So I'll put that is in Jesse's garage. Okay. Great. And yeah, we're all ready for it. We planned it out.
If you need snacks or refreshments, you can ask Alex to buy some if you need.
Oh, okay.
Not required, but if you wanted to do that. We don't have any leftover stuff anymore.
Oh, great.
so.
Okay.
Just a point of the minutes or the agenda says October 11th, the minutes from last month, say October 10th.
It's Thursday. So I think that's the 10th. Yeah. I will not be there the 11th. I will only be there the 10th.
Okay.
So can you tell me a little about what Estacada creates? I mean, what is it? What are you?
So when we have these events, we focus on a specific art form. This time it's for writing. We were doing it as a Preptober event for NaNoWriMo. NaNoWriMo as an organization, National Novel Writing Month is going through some, let's just call it organizational drama. And so I'm taking a pause from the organization, but the challenge is that you write a novel in the month of October or the month of November. And so October is traditionally Preptober, where you get ready for your novel writing adventure. So we're going to introduce the challenge, whether or not we call it NaNoWriMo, kind of give people some structure and work through some writing activities. And then he's talking about maybe having like a little get together like early December to like see if anybody wrote a novel. I don't know if we'll do that or not, but
Cool.
we might.
It seems like collaborating with him is a great idea. Deborah said
Yeah.
that he's really had some good pull with like is like developing a good crew of people that
Yeah,
are
he
enjoying the getting
He
together,
has a
right?
writing group at the library now,
that's cool.
and it's like 12 people.
Yeah.
So it's cool. Yeah,
That's cool. I love your
Yeah.
hat, Deborah.
fabulous. I was just talking about how great it is working with Zach for the writing
wonderful
event. Yeah, so
There's coffee in there too. Cool.
that's it. I need to get collage stuff and I'll ask Alex
By
for.
collage stuff, do you mean like materials? Or are you looking for like scissors and X-Acto knives? What do you want to?
I'm looking for magazines specifically, the box of magazines.
Okay.
Yeah. But like glue sticks would be fine if we have them.
I'll look at
might
what I have.
be able to add to that. My neighbor is an avid subscriber and she gave us some magazines last year. So I'll go see if I can
Oh, great.
shake her down for some. It's probably a lot of like beauty and firearm magazines.
But-
Solid
we can make it
combination. I
work.
like it.
Yeah. Cool. Great.
All right. I do know that because I have been storing so many boxes of things, I definitely recycled some after the last one, but I kept a bunch too. So
Okay,
I'll look. I'm not good at throwing things away or recycling things.
that's right. Well, we have,
Okay.
oh, we might have a costume trunk too. So if people want to come and bring costumes, like go for it, but you have to take it home afterwards.
All
It's gonna be
right.
fun.
So coming up. All right, and logistics, we are gonna move the chatting about our bigger goals and like the big picture stuff to the end, just to make sure we get to like the logistical stuff that we really need to get through. But we just sort of has made it part of our routine to go through commissioner roles at this time to make sure everybody's still okay to do what they're doing. Alex has been our secretary. Yay. We should maybe buy her some champagne or something. She does a lot for us. I'm gonna take notes for her today. Currently we have myself as the chair, Deborah as the treasurer, Jean as my vice chair, as long as I promise not to ask her to do anything. And I think that's sort of it, role wise. In previous conversations, we've talked about somebody being like the social media person. I had that as like to bring up, but I think that needs to be sort of a like, when you take on an event, then you do the social media for that event. If you guys are comfortable with that. Just sort of like if you're the point person for that event, then you're the one that emails Alex and asks her to post things.
Okay.
So does that still sound okay for everybody for now?
Makes sense.
Okay.
If anybody else wants to be vice chair, I mean, I am really a placeholder to check a box. So, I mean, feel free to like volunteer.
What do you do
Um,
with those?
Nothing,
Nothing?
absolutely nothing.
If I'm not able to come to a meeting, then they would run the meeting.
Yeah,
Let you
That's
have
all.
the gavel.
Yeah, bam, bam, the gavel. You can have the gavel. I also wanted to put it on Jean, Dave, and Mike's radar that March is the expiration of your term.
mhm.
Okay.
So we don't have another Vince situation.
Mm.
Just heads up. I know Alex is good about emailing everybody, but just as a heads up, that you'll need to reapply.
I may be stepping down
Right.
in March again.
Right. That's okay.
So just if you keep your ears open, if you know somebody else that wants to be on the commission or if Vince wants to come back.
Yeah.
Um,
Keep our ears
Yeah.
out. Yeah. But Dave and Mike, as long as you're still still up for it, I just want to make sure we don't forget. So it's on my radar and your radar. The rest of us are not until 2026.
How many years has it been? 2?
They're 2-year terms.
Is.
Yeah.
This is the only meter I have.
And then Isabella, I think yours is a 1-year thing.
Okay.
It's my understanding that it's 1 year. But obviously this is sort of a technicality thing. Like obviously when like they reapply, we just say we would like them back. So if you were like wanting to continue in a year, we just say, check your box. We want to continue to have you here. So just a heads up. So yeah, we'll talk about the goals and things a little bit at the end. The subcommittee review, I have that here. We talked about not having this conversation take up too much time. So I have a little note-taking thing about what we need to do, who's gonna be on these, if we need an action plan or like a date that these are reporting back to us. And then obviously we'll pause on the poetry in public places because that's the bulk of our conversation today. So Bev had volunteered to do the 120th town celebration and be a point person for that. Are you feeling like you would like somebody else on the commission to?
Well, not necessarily the commission. I'll be meeting with Sherry Fox Ames
Mhm.
on the 14th, and we're actively to have a conversation face to face. I've sent her information, kind of thought starters, ideas starters for her to consider. But after the 14th, then we're gathering as many people who want to be part of this kind of think tank. They don't have to have any special qualifications, really. I want them to be able to think outside the box, see what we can come up with. That's fairly easy to walk before we run type thing. So I will be reporting back to this committee, just a short review of what's happening each month. So we kind of keep everyone on board. That's it.
All right. Chick?
Bev,
Oh,
you
yeah.
should reach out to Sarah Hibbert at the library. She is heading 120th for us for whatever we're doing.
Sarah Hibbard, do you have her contact information?
I can get it to you, yes.
Okay. Good. All right. My understanding is the purpose of this subcommittee is to kind of lay the groundwork of options A, B, and C that gives the city council and specific commissions a kind of a track to say we can support this or partially support it, and this is what we'll run with, so.
All right. Christmas tree lighting, I have me and Mike. I don't know if you've heard from anybody, Mike. I've sent 2 emails and not gotten any responses, but I
Oh.
know they were really focused on Oktoberfest.
I have been in sort of peripheral contact with Hannah. Just we're buddies and our kids roll jujitsu together, so I see her fairly frequently. She's not in any chair role, but she's obviously still involved. I think really what we need is to bring the horn ensemble, and they have things fairly well hammered out. Last year when I was getting a saxophone repaired, I bought the sheet music that has probably a couple dozen songs in it. So I'm gonna bring in my 2 buddies who are trumpet and tenor player. So that should be fairly
I
easy
think
to
we had
knock
talked
out.
about doing something like having, because they're gonna come down here, having like Santa in here, and then we have like a table where we're doing some sort of,
Do we need
craft
to
or community
find
thing.
Santa?
I don't know. I think we just need to, I will email again now that
Okay.
it's post Oktoberfest
Yeah.
and see if I can communicate.
I heard
So
that
we'll
really-
report back in.
That it was a
Yeah.
really big event anyway.
It was great. And they did I was impressed by their booths this year. They worked it the right way, so the booth representation was very community oriented and pleasant. We all know what that means. So we'll report back on November, hopefully, and I would be great to just see like if we're gonna have a presence and if anybody is willing to come and like run a table.
Cool.
So I'll come back to that. We'll
Yeah, I
report back
definitely plan on being actively involved in that, so we can,
Yeah.
I could be Santa Claus too, I suppose.
Okay, so we'll report back in November.
I think the fire department handles Santa. You might want to ask
Okay.
about that, but
Well, I mean, this is, the intention for the Christmas tree lighting is to just say, hey, Mike's gonna bring music. Can we provide like a table in here? We're not like running Santa or
Okay,
doing any of
okay,
that.
okay.
This is like a downtown commission event.
that's what I thought.
This is a, like, we might
Right.
show up and provide an extra thing,
Right.
maybe.
Cool. All right, great, neat.
Um,
I just heard a where is Santa question and that was. my
yeah,
answer.
don't know. Santa's not on my list of things to do.
You're on your way.
We talked about the 1% for art, and so I thought, I mean, really, that would be great to have somebody who would be willing to, maybe 1 or 2 people who would be on a sort of a subcommittee to talk to the city and learn a little bit more about what that's going to entail.
What it entails
It's a
is
lot.
one person on the committee, on this committee, has to sign on to be the chair of that
Right.
committee.
Right.
And there's a very specific regulations
But we
for the
talked
mix of
about,
people.
we
that
talked
need to
about
be on
that person talking to the city and saying like, would you guys fund like a consultation, somebody that could come in and help us to do that? So far, we really haven't had anybody that's willing to like step into that and take that on because it is a really big, it's a big thing to do. So I'm just bringing that up again. We said we would bring it up at the planning meeting and see if anybody would be up for taking that on. I mean, it's like, we don't want this money to disappear. It's not going anywhere, but we don't
No,
want to
it
just
won't
do nothing
disappear.
with it.
I'll volunteer to be.
Bev?
So let me jump in here too. So by happenstance, I ran into Alicia at a party this weekend that we played for our band. And it was hosted by this very eccentric couple. They live like 15 miles from here, and the woman Melanie is a 3-dimensional artist,
Cool.
and she is like, I don't meet people like this very often, but I have several videos of her artwork and it is unbelievable. So Alicia and I had a sort of sidebar conversation about like, this seems like somebody
perfect
who's
for that kind of-
local. She
Yeah.
also does metal work installations besides the sort of stuff that she's doing on canvas, so to speak. It's bananas. So we would really like to potentially pursue her
Cool.
to deploy this. So that might be also something that Alicia and I will jump in and we could be a subcommittee and get this whole thing rolling so that we retain the opportunity and the money and everything else. I don't know where it would go and I don't know specifically what she would do, but honestly,
Well,
talking
if
to
she's
her
local,
about,
that could be somebody, like, she might be able to commission her to do
yeah,
something too.
that's what that's what we're
Yeah.
saying is, and I don't know her process well enough to know like what it would take, but it's really, really cool.
Yeah,
artwork.
the only thing to remember about the 1% for the arts is that it's through
Application.
city agreement, and there's a lot more bureaucracy and stuff that goes along with it, which is why the subcommittee is such a giant thing. I mean, I think we could still pursue that, but it's just not, the process is very different from like other
Mhm.
public.
Well, that's
art
why we need,
installations.
if Bev is willing to
Yeah.
step in, and we talked about asking the city to be like, this is a huge thing. We are all volunteers. We really would love, at least the
Mhm.
first time we do this process, to see if they would be willing to pony up the money to bring somebody in as a consult to guide us through doing it one time. And then once it's gone through one time, that we would have more of a base of
Mhm.
experience to
Mhm.
be able to carry that process through again.
Is there a
So
ballpark
just so you know,
number?
that's the
Yeah,
conversation we
and
kind of
I-
had before, because the process is sort of like, you have to build the community, you have to have like a certain number of community members and
Right,
artists,
buy-in.
city, and it's a very specific.
And I have resources I can draw who are very successful. Having
Great.
done that before in other cities.
So if you're willing to do that, are you willing to sort of just have that be like an ongoing check-in also? And then know that we can support you in other ways, just, we need somebody that will dive in and find out, like, because it's just such a big thing. Nobody's had the bandwidth to,
No, there's
so
not-
it's a lot.
We're good.
Do we have a ballpark idea of what that budget looks like for the 1%?
There's several different parks and places where that is, so it depends on the park.
Yeah,
So
well,
it's
and
a 1% of whatever the park thing is. So like Wade Creek is a huge one.
what about
Like
the,
30,
like 30 grand or something.
38,000 or something
Okay.
like that. Some of the smaller parks, I think Overlook has still got some funds outstanding. That one is not very much, maybe like under 2,500.
well, even something like the Main Street, don't we have funds from the Main Street redo over here even? Because
Well,
it's
that-
every single city project.
Well, that would be something to find out about, is sort of what funds are there and for what areas. That would be part of that exploration. Because that money, like Deb said, it doesn't go away.
Mhm.
It is there waiting to be spent.
Okay.
There's no like timeline on it, I don't
Okay.
think.
But when they did Broadway, that funded the chalkboard squares, that funded some of the art that's up there, it funded the
Bike
fish that
thing.
are over here. So, I mean, there's pretty much any time the city does an infrastructure project, we get 1%. So whatever the budget is, 1% of that.
I mean, the
Thank you
difference
for
was
doing
that
that.
one
It's huge.
was those
We've all just been
decisions
like-
were made as part of the project.
Yeah,
It was all like
yeah.
a cohesive thing.
Yeah, but I think that's partly because Jane Reed, who was on the
Mhm.
Arts Commission, was very involved in that
Yeah.
process. So it sort of like became a committee that checked all the boxes because all the people working on the project were in those categories, and that's just how they operated.
Well, and given the growth that we're experiencing as a town,
Mhm.
like, if we figure out a process, then it can be sort of something that's planned into future projects, maybe
Yeah.
a little bit more intentionally.
Well,
Once we catch up with all the other ones.
yeah, and
Yeah.
potentially then we have local artists who are looking to contact us
Right.
as an opportunity rather than us always being in search of somebody to fill
Mhm.
the need.
There's also other cities who've gone through this very successfully and they are willing to share their artists database that they've sourced for other projects. And I've already had conversations.
I do think we want to try to keep it local.
mean-
Yeah,
here as
and
much
they
as
have
we
it as local.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
We
have. 'em.
should just go over to Spiral too and now start, kind of bring up that conversation. I'm sure that they have some people over there, everybody wants to earn.
I think that at this point, though, the question is much less about who's doing the art. Like, that's such a later in this
Yeah.
conversation. It's the money, it's the bureaucracy, it's the committee. It's
do we
all
spend the
those
money?
pieces. Finding artists and projects is important, but that's like a much later, it's all the
Yeah.
complicated stuff that happens before that we
Where are you
need to
going this
figure
week,
out,
you
I think.
bitch?
Yeah, a witchy marketplace.
Okay, okay, so Bev's taking that on too. Thank you, Bev. I have Arts at the Creek here. I assume that Mike's gonna help out with music again.
Too soon, Jesse, too soon.
No, it's not too soon.
Yes,
Um,
yes, for sure. And in fact,
I have to have somebody else helping though. Like I almost died doing this last year. I really need somebody else to help next year. So I'm gonna put that out there. We can bring that up maybe again when Alicia's here. I need somebody that I can bounce ideas off of and go back and forth. And Mike has like a big, huge thing with the performance and music, but like pretty much everything else got left up to me. And that was like a whole lot and really, really hard. So we can bring that up. I don't want to have this full conversation without Alicia here because I feel like she might be interested in helping also.
Well, I'm just gonna throw it out there too, like, we're not the summer celebration, we're not giant, but that worked well because we had like 1 or 2 people from the Arts Commission and community volunteers. I know that's like, it's a big thing to say community volunteers, but I don't think that it's outside of the realm of possibility to like, if you know other people in the community, or if we can find other people in the community who have the bandwidth to help, to like have them take some of the burden off of you and be an official like chair or like co-lead of that committee. I don't think it has to fall all to commissioners.
If
Because
anybody has
that's not how it
ideas
has,
about
so-
that at this point,
Yeah.
like doing the coordination, like people are barely willing to do what they did for me last year.
Yeah.
Like I'm sort of dragging people in. I get that. And I'm so open to that. But I'm literally like, people are like, oof, maybe we could be there that, like
Yeah.
it's been a stretch anyway. I'm absolutely open to all the help, but I'm just saying that like, it's been a struggle even to do what has been done.
Mhm.
So if anybody has any ideas about anybody.
can I mean, it seems like you had a very well-developed system for vendors
Getting
and
better, yeah.
volunteers. I mean, then it's year 2 or year 3 coming up now. Do we have access to the Job Corps kids again?
I'm gonna reach out to everybody
Okay,
again,
'cause
starting
that's
in
a
like
huge just
November.
labor
Yeah,
effort.
I mean,
Okay.
this last year, the momentum is huge, so I'm hoping that stuff will just get a little bit better every year, and we can say
Right.
like, oh, the people that were there last year, we'll do it again. Um,
And I'm gonna try and find, so here's some of the factors within the window of what I'm doing. I'm going to try and directly coordinate, if not commandeer, the whole job of providing sound for the Parks
like
District.
concerts.
So that we have some cohesion there, just with consistency for the artists, but then also to know what they're up to, because that's what happened this year was we all scheduled artists and then there was overlapping performances and it's like, Ray Gordon's playing here. And then 3 weeks later, Ray Gordon's playing here again. And you know what I mean? So we'll sort of be able to manage that, but beyond the day of stuff, setting up, running the system, doing that, second nature, not nearly the undertaking maybe you imagine it is. Scheduling the artists, always a pain in the butt because artists are a pain in the butt. I am one of them. But if you want me to do food vendors, stuff like that, if there's another piece of it that you can carve out, because that I see as also sort of my anchor
Well, and that's
event
that's
for the year.
yeah, and like I want to say this with
Be direct.
okay, I did delegate food vendors last year and it went terribly.
Sure.
So like I want to make sure that if somebody says they're going to do a thing, that they do it in a really intentional way that is not like the bare minimum.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
like that went terribly. And yes, 2 did back out, but that meant we only had a handful to begin with. So like we really need to go bigger and more intentional
So-
sooner.
I think it would be worthwhile. I mean, I know it keeps coming up, but like the DEC plan to like have a volunteer base. I think part of it is that people want to help, but they don't necessarily have the skill set or the experience to help in an effective way. And like people who haven't done food vendors, like I wouldn't touch a food vendor because I watched Julie do it for years and she pulled her hair out and it's a real pain in the neck. But if you haven't done it, it seems a lot easier than it's like, oh, I call the food vendors and then they say they're gonna show up and not necessarily coordinating like, where's the power source? Did I ask them if they have their own generator? Like, are they okay with parking here? Like where they don't understand like all the things to even ask people. And so, I think if we are able to connect with DEC about like volunteer training too, if we can put that onto them, like it's not just about getting people to show up, it's about getting people to show up who know how to help and don't need
Right.
to be handheld the whole time.
Well, I think the day of volunteers went really well last year. The Job Corps was great. It's the beforehand, but yeah, I
Yeah.
see what you're saying.
Like
Cause it was,
a coordinator position's a big thing and people may not
Yeah.
realize that it's as big as it is.
I think some people do because
Yeah.
that's why
nobody
don't
does
do
it.
some people fell apart because
Yeah.
people aren't willing to take on that responsibility. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah.
I think you're right, having some training and like, if you want to do the food cart person, be the cart person, here's a binder, here's the steps you go through, boom, boom,
Mhm.
boom, boom, boom. Like,
That might
here's the
be,
ways
Mike,
to
if that's
start,
something
yeah.
that you're up for doing, that's something we could talk to downtown because they have done Oktoberfest. And they've done that successfully and be like, what was your, I mean, I basically
And-
copied their application, so I'm already kind of copying what they're doing. Cause that's what we
Frankly-
had to do
Mhm.
for,
Frankly, there's gonna be
application.
more opportunity for local food vendors who have carts available because this whole thing just got approved over here. They're tearing down the old meth hotel and that's gonna be a food cart like
Sweet.
oh, really?
spot
Awesome.
specifically.
Cool.
What location?
Right here, the Carolina. Oh,
Right on
Carolina.
the other, right on the other side of
blocks
the
away.
Growler place.
Yeah, the Growler place has.
Right
re-
across from the gas
Growler
station.
place has renewed their
super
lease in
sketchy hotel.
terms. And the place on the corner that used to be the food
I think it was the
pantry.
newspaper for. a
Oh,
while.
no, it was you're right. That building is also staying, but there's gonna be a food cart pod there. So I think that that's gonna attract more and then also consolidate carts in town. So I think, if we start now, get people on, I'd love to
Honestly,
have.
we try. Have a look at
Well,
the
yeah, and I'd
calendar.
like to have Hueso up there and get some more just,
And-
sort of.
The piece, so for me, if we're talking about, and I don't want to spend all of our time talking about future Arts of the Creek, because right, it's subcommittee conversation.
Mhm.
But like the things that are what that would be really helpful that I need help with is also the fundraising piece. So like people that have the time during business hours and the bandwidth to go around and talk to people and help them understand why they need to help buy into creating this tradition.
Which Alicia might volunteer for, especially with this much like leeway
Notice.
on it. Yeah.
Mhm. So I will bring that again. Maybe I'm gonna say Alicia question mark.
And we should also reiterate all of us making our summer plans with this anchor date.
Yes,
Consider.
please. Yeah, so we can have as much of us there as possible.
Right, that helps.
But like the fundraising piece, like we've had grants in the past, we fundraised last year, but like if we're gonna make this sustainable, we have to get the fundraising going. Otherwise, we're gonna burn out. Like we just made even a little bit, like we have a pretty good amount of money now, but like that will be gone next year if we don't like make up for it in a big way with fundraising. And I'm not an expert about fundraising. I'm just going around with flyers. And again, that was something that everyone was like, well, we'll help. But then like nobody picked up flyers. Like, love you guys, but like nobody helped with that. So like it has to be something that like if we say we are going to connect with these people, then we connect with those people.
And we
So
don't-
like if what I'm hearing already is nobody still is, I know Alicia's not here, but nobody still wants to be on that subcommittee. Like this event is not sustainable unless I get some help. And it can't just be Mike. So like with the fundraising piece, and I don't know if we're all gonna say we're really gonna do it this year or what, but like we have to, I need help with it.
We don't get any funds from the city budget.
No, we fundraise all of our own
Does
things.
anybody know why Alex isn't here? Why? Everybody else gets budget money, right? All the
They've
other.
never-
We
companies-
get budget money. We are not required to
So then is it
fundraise.
something that we need to
everything.
talk to the city about? Cause they've never
No, we
put
just
any
need
money
to
into
submit it. We
us.
just need to add it into our budget for submission. What, June 1st is the budget deadline?
Now, we do
April 1st?
submit our budget, but they've never given us any money. Like, I don't know how we go about asking the city.
I mean, they used to give us like 10,000 plus.
That's what I'm saying. It's
But
like that.
they changed their budget rules from when I was on the commission before to when I joined the commission again, where they were wanting us to fundraise a lot more for, I mean, that's why I brought up all those questions in April about like, why do we have like, we're zeroing out
Right.
basically, it's because they had changed their requirements.
Well,
So we
but-
get our like general printing budget, but you know, I don't know that they're like,
But also there's overlapping issues here because like DEI has requested $1,000 a year for the past 3 years and has never deployed $1. So it all sits in the general fund. So if they're telling us that we need to raise more money to do actual physical concrete events that are really creating community and art.
we're a commission that's been around since 1990. I
Right,
mean, we're
and
Well, I
th-
think maybe
there's
we should ask
also-
Parks and Rec, cause like, they put on events. Where
No,
are getting their money
no,
from?
we need to pressure the city.
No,
because
but I mean,
that's what
to
the state-
see what other commissions are doing, cause like,
yeah.
It's
the
all,
D-
it's all
the
there.
DEC raises a ton of money because they charge for their floats, they charge for the booths, like they raise a lot of their own money. I'm curious, just to do some, and I have it here to ask the city, because we asked them before, and they said, you have your printing budget.
No,
That, we had
we
this
need to-
conversation
we need
before,
to-
we asked them before.
Right, right,
And they
right, right.
said, you have your printing budget.
Yeah.
Like
but-
the city does not contribute to us other than that. We
Which
had
there's
this conversation.
precedent.
I
If you
asked
look at the
this-
budget in 2017, 2018, 2019, we had a more substantial budget. That's how we purchased pieces of art. The city paid for that as part of our budget.
Well, so our budget, they give us our printing budget, I
Right.
should say, and they give us our $700 to purchase something for the city.
But that was something that we added to the printing budget.
Mm-hmm.
And then we added money for summer celebration because we were fundraising 100%. But then RAC, I think, cut our funding the last year of summer celebration, like they were supposed to give us a grant and then they didn't. And so we ended up like $10,000 short. And so we asked the city to cover the difference and they did. And so then the next year we're like, why don't you just give us the money like to help us out up front?
This.
But
has
it
to
was
do
a
with us
short.
Advocating for ourselves.
So I'm gonna put in here to ask Alex how we go about asking for that. Like, we want to continue putting on this annual event. Can the city support us and how do we go about requesting that support?
She's gonna send you to Sadie.
Right.
Go talk
to
to
Sadie.
Sadie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My concern is, when I joined, I had no idea that the city was, basically, you're on your own here, raising your funds. And that it was really, I didn't understand that the commissioners are actually to go door to door and get money.
Mhm.
So, but what I would be good at is,
Going door to door. to
no,
get-
would be, well, I can't do that, but I would rather go after the grants.
Yeah.
And be a part of that. Now, if someone else is handling the grants, that's fine. But I would love to drive the grants.
Chelsea,
If
If
you're willing to help with that.
I would
Because
love to take
Deborah's
that
been the
on.
one that's taken that on, but she's
I
also
took it,
writing
but-
1,000 grants for her own
Yeah,
job and
but
like is maxed
I
out.
cannot anymore.
Yeah,
I
that would be
So,
great.
but I don't want to duplicate what you're doing, Deborah.
I do not have the time to do.
Okay,
grant
let
writing
me
anymore.
take, because going door to door to get $50 here and $500
Well, not-
there, I'm just kind of like,
But Bev, that's the
Yeah.
reason that we've had a budget to do it the last 2 years is because Deborah has gone out of her way to write these grants. It's only because of grants that we've done it the last 2 years. And that's sort of my point to say now, we don't have a grant coming up yet for
okay,
next year.
I'll take
Yeah,
on the
and
grant.
part of that is because of
Mhm.
RAC and
Because of
Clackamas
RAC,
County
yeah.
and that whole fiasco that happened, that
Mhm.
So
the
for,
budgets, the grant source that we were using for this event just disappeared.
so for some background, the Regional Arts and Culture Council in Portland covers what Washington, Clackamas used to,
Let's not,
and,
don't write it down. They
Mul-
don't give us money. anymore.
Multnomah County, and
It's not
they,
okay.
don't exist.
they
No,
do
they do.
exist, but they had told the counties that they would only fund organizations within the county if it was matched by county funds. Washington County said yes, Multnomah County said yes, Clackamas County said no, so they said that they're not gonna fund any activities in Clackamas County, and it is funded back to the summer celebration when it started in the 90s.
And they've funded us for years.
I mean,
So
we're
we
talking like
did-
25
and-
years of funding.
Deborah did put together, we did the Clackamas County Arts Alliance grant. That's what helped us last year
Yeah. So
or with this year. with.
Deborah, if you can tell Bev which things that you're applying for, Bev, I'm happy to review grants. I don't have time to write them or lead them, but I have a lot of experience reading it and giving feedback and like helping edit it. So I'm happy to help in that way so
But-
that it's not just you.
What we'll do, we'll do that offline separate from here.
Okay.
And put
So
together
can I
kind of
just
an
sort of
action
put
plan.
on here that you'll
Yeah,
do a little
I'll take that.
research on the grant? I would,
I'll take the grants.
because the money piece is hard and it's literally door to door.
I
It's
know.
exhausting.
And it should not be that way. So,
And I'm gonna ask Alicia if maybe she would join Mike and I. We'll just ask her when she gets here.
So can we make it like a fundraising subcommittee so that we're like more intentionally meeting? Does that sound okay to you, Bev?
maybe just put it under like a arts finance.
Cool.
So we can just draw on many different
Yeah.
resources. I think there's other, yes, other opportunities. We don't need to talk about it here, but other opportunities. we
Cool.
can knock on their doors, especially aligning with other communities who are already very successful doing this.
Great.
But
Is
I
it-
think there's definitely, especially now that we're in like year 3, there are like pretty much everybody that donated the first year just went ahead and donated the second year. So like if, and we need to get in with a couple people, like I need to just instead make an appointment with the CEO of Reliance to like talk to them and say like, hey, we need to get you back on the schedule. I know you supported us regularly in the past. There's a couple big companies like that, like PGE, like State Farm, that are like Eagle Foundry, that are like, they'll just de facto give us money every year if we can get them started. So it's like a combination of those two things. Maybe we're not chasing the $50, but we might chase every year sending out a letter and just like, oh, if I send a letter to Eagle Foundry, they'll just give us $500. We
Mhm.
just send a letter to them, they'll give us $100 or whatever. So there's those pieces together.
So I'm happy to be a liaison between your paperwork and Bev's work so that you can. step
Well, I
away
think
from the grant
Deborah is
writing if
saying
you
she
want to.
doesn't have the bandwidth to do the grant writing.
Right, that's what I'm saying. If I think I've been enough involved and I can like explain where things are coming from and things, so. I'm happy to be a in between. That's
Okay.
my point. I know.
I'm carrying that in my truck for like 2 months.
I'm just gonna put out here that when we end discussion of arts at the Creek, before we go into poetry in public places, we should take a break and have snackies.
Yes, please.
Oh, can I throw
think we're
something
done.
in here just really fast that I've been talking to Bettina about the grief and art thing?
Yeah.
I haven't been able to attend a meeting, but I've been communicating with them by email,
Yeah,
so.
she started the Facebook group.
Oh, cool.
It's called Pushing Daisies.
I love her.
That's pretty great. It just
Cool.
started.
Okay. I joined it, but I had no idea, like I thought that might be connected to grief and gratitude, but there
It wasn't
really is no
clear.
specific.
I was gonna message
link
her and
to
be like,
that,
it's
yeah.
not clear that it makes it seem like it's like just Bettina's pet project, but really it's like, there's a lot of people involved in it.
I'm the only boy.
Huh?
So I read the list of new people and it was like.
Oh, the only male who's involved?
Yeah. Is this a women's group like that I've been welcomed into?
I mean, welcome.
Jesse, here's
Yeah.
another idea for Arts at the Creek and subcommittee is putting out that specific call for the food trucks, the fundraising to the other committees and out to the community in general, being like, this event is going on. These are the spots where we need year-round community involvement and commitment so that that subcommittee isn't just relying on us.
So you're thinking
Anymore.
like sort of just me crafting like an email and saying like, this is happening. If you'd like to get involved, please
Yeah,
reach out.
Like if
Yeah,
you
and
want this event to continue, now is the time to step up, like create that sense of urgency because
Okay.
otherwise you're gonna have, this is gonna happen on and on and on. We need
Mhm.
to draw those community members in and make them see like they need to step up and be involved.
And being specific, like you were saying, like, we need a food coordinator, we need a vendor coordinator, we need a volunteer coordinator, we need someone to lead crafts, like, these are open positions with a big blank, like, this event happens if this blank is filled in and all these blanks are filled in.
I think it can't ever hurt to ask. I know that like
Yeah.
I even saw the downtown commission like 2 weeks before Oktoberfest being like, we literally will have to cancel some. Like by the time I got to Oktoberfest, like all the crafts were done and shut down. They didn't even have volunteers to run it in the afternoon. So it was done. So I know they struggle with that too, but it can't hurt to ask and put out that email
Mhm.
for sure. And I do want to continue on with the idea of the commissioner booth at all these events, like city commission booth. that we
Yeah.
all participate in to make that like a rotating thing. So I will take that on as a thing that I just email people and say like, hey, can we maybe give it a try? See if we can get a handful of commissions that want to participate in all events, but can only spare 2 hours for each event or something.
I think it gives us power as a commission too, to push back when there's community frustrations. Like the biggest frustration about the summer celebration is people being like, oh, that just fell apart. It's all your fault or whatever. And it's like, I wish I had kept all of the emails that we'd sent out asking for volunteers, being specific, because I'd like to just have that documentation. And if we say like, oh, this went out in the city email to everybody 4 times, no one
Mhm.
volunteered, we canceled the event, then, you know, if something comes up in like city council or something, we can be like, this is the evidence that we made the effort. And I'm tired of hearing people complain about it. But I mean, it's just,
Well-
it would be really nice to have that documentation, honestly.
On that,
Pretty sure that summer celebration went to city council also asking for
did,
that.
yeah.
You know,
well,
so-
on that note, maybe I should make the effort to go to a city council meeting, maybe the next city council meeting, to say that. To say, this is happening next summer, it is happening on this date, we are looking for cooperation and volunteers, just to let everyone know that this is happening.
Well, and to say it will happen if we fill the volunteer spots.
Right.
Yeah, just to put it in the public record, just to do community announcements or whatever, just as kind of a way to broadcast it.
Yeah.
Because also if you get the conversation started amongst the city council, there, those conversations.
Oh, I mean, if I
Circulate.
go to a city council meeting and talk about it, they're gonna say, thanks, that's great to hear, and then they'll just move on, but at least that will be heard by people that are listening
Yeah,
to the meeting.
That's
Absolutely.
the point.
That's like just
absolutely.
to make a presence.
Yeah.
That's the point.
So I'll try to do that at one of the upcoming meetings
Oh.
and see if I can just show up and smile and remind everybody that's happening.
I'm gonna go do my football drop off.
Okay,
I'll
let's
be
take a
back in
break.
15 minutes. Oh, and let me show you. I wanna show you guys.
Yeah, I want to see the thing.
I had
Alicia,
to leave at Donnie's doubleheader.
Okay.
She has 2 games today.
How
but,
old is she now?
Five?
5.5.
2
She
games?
she just started soccer. Yeah, her last day of soccer is the last Saturday of this month. So she only has like 3 more Saturday, 2 more Saturdays. 3 more. I don't know. It's very early. I've been up since
Alicia,
5:30.
Melanie
That's crazy.
is the artist.
Meredith,
Meredith. so-
Meredith.
I need more
oh,
coffee.
cool.
The giant burger. I'm so glad that we have you.
Where?
Seriously, Bev, when you first applied, we were like, ooh, maybe she'll write grants. Give me the call.
The
Five-year plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, then I do it in-
The,
Great.
the first stuff.
Okay,
We're gonna take a break and do poetry. and
Okay.
classes. I think that's where we are.
okay.
The
And-
meeting, you know,
This one?
Oh, here's my.
I just like.
I want to
Oh,
be
it's
on the
not
Christmas
so old.
subcommittee. I don't know if we can go back to that, but, and I want to,
Yeah, like.
I bet you can get on any committee you want.
hey, I want to be on the
Yeah.
Christmas subcommittee number.
You're already on it.
Christmas tree lighting?
Yeah,
Trying to bring her in. to-
yeah.
I literally was like, I had that already on here. I was like, okay, when Alicia gets here, we'll
Oh,
see
I'll
if
be
she
right
wants to be involved too.
I do.
I have a couple very
it-
specific asks that I was like, I thought Alicia might help me with.
Is it just tree lighting or are we doing an event also?
So the Christmas tree lighting is the downtown commission event. And
Right.
They're gonna do down at the
That's
Market
the
Square.
second.
Yeah, they're gonna go to the Market Square and put their sign.
We're not doing the.
I'm just gonna do the horn ensemble down the street and end here with Santa is.
Okay.
And so if we participate, it's gonna be like, we add something to City Hall. Like we have a craft or we organize something to like present.
We could have a.
Oh, I wanna do. the Christmas tree thing,
Let's-
like each business can like, kind of like that. But then if I only one. So I've emailed downtown commission and not responded at all, but we would just be showing up to add like one thing to what they're already.
Okay, so we do like a wreath making food. Kids.
Something, yeah. Yeah, just something like one extra thing that would be down for the.
Okay.
My parent meeting everyone before it.
Are we, perfect.
He's like, I'll also be Santa.
And then
are we doing a Christmas event? No. Okay. This would be our Christmas event.
Okay.
We're just gonna tag on.
But I was
We
like,
haven't talked about other events, but
I had some notes.
we've had some sort of conversations about how like. Deborah and I have had some conversations about how we need to do like a. Oh, is this the? This is,
That's Steve's loading dock, swimming thing.
where is this?
Oh.
Is this the lake?
Lake Shore. No.
Oh, this is where, is this like where the dock already is? Which one? Somewhere along. Cause you know how there's like other little paths.
This is, I think like the can is over here.
That's good.
Down back behind the, yeah, like, so maybe the community, that community center might be like right around here-ish. Cause we.
That's what I was wondering. But I think that if this is the bend in the
This
wrist, then the
might-
rock is over there.
Yeah.
And the rock's maybe. That's what I was wondering, because that's already kind of a path off. I have real mixed feelings about water access being up here, because I think it would be great, but also, it's my favorite thing that when you put in really low, if you paddle all the way up towards the bridge, it takes so much effort to get there, there's very few people there. So when water access comes way up,
Yeah.
that will stop. Now there will be people everywhere.
No, this is, I think this is just, yeah, like kayak, or what do you call it? Paddleboard. So.
People are pretty thinking,
So
so
I
I
was
was
like,
like,
oh,
oh, this is a little less.
This is what I'm really excited about. These are hollow areas like swimming pools. Like where it's just a hollow area and the dock to swim, but then with a kind of a thing under the water. Yeah, so it's like a kid can't like float over and get caught under the dock type of thing. But I don't know. I don't know. But yeah.
How are you?
Good.
Did you make this?
It's great to see you at our meetings. Feel free to speak. Oh, I'm a talker. I talk over my phone. Don't mean to.
We make.
What year in school are you right now?
10th.
Oh, nice. That's cool. Do you have an art form that's your favorite?
I do a lot of different things. I like working with clay and I like drawing and I also like digital art too.
Oh, sweet. That's so cool.
Were there,
Have you met any of the clay artists around in town? I don't know, like Anne moved a few years ago, but
I've been to the Spiral Gallery
cool.
before. And I met a couple of the people who did clay work there.
neat.
I can't really remember their names.
Yeah. If you, there's a guy at the Spiral Gallery, Carl, who used to be on the Arts Commission. He paints like watercolor birds. But he just got a little hobby kiln. He lives like a couple of houses down from me. So he's like always working with clay in his garage, and he's got like little morel mushrooms all over his yard now, and like out of clay. It's fun. I wish I had room for a kiln because clay is fun.
Yeah. At
Yes.
the high school they have this round one
Mm-hmm.
and it fits a lot of like it has a lot of room inside of it.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. It's good to know that the high school has a kiln. That's
Yeah.
nifty.
Yeah.
Did you go to the middle school here too?
I went to both elementary schools.
Oh, cool.
The middle school and the high and now I'm going to the high school.
So you're an
Did-
expert on everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
you've seen all the schools. That's awesome. You'll have to let us know when there's like art events going on at the high school or like, it's good to know when things are going on.
Yeah.
Is there like an art club or something at the high school or?
Miss Packard has been talking about starting one
Oh, cool.
because they had one before, but they canceled it because it was just too much of like a hassle. Like people
Mhm.
cancel and then they'd only have like one person show up. But this year they're talking about maybe starting up a new one again.
Neat.
Yeah.
That's really
I think we
cool.
Get all these fundraising letters out. And people to take them.
The one thing I would like to do that we don't have is really recognize and thank in a big way. It's fun. People participated like that big crazy photo of thank you and contact like with all the raffle people.
Yes.
What else were you gonna? Did
So-
you guys already go over stuff? like
No,
what it
we
is?
I could
talked
say
about-
this in a time of emotional support technique.
Mhm.
And it was
We
probably
really just talked
for
about,
journalism.
we were
And
gonna
there's
skip
no
the
way
goals.
to
and stuff, so
shorten
we
it.
Went over the commissioner roles.
So I cut it
Like, we'll all
out,
do
I
the
cut
same
it
thing.
off.
Oh, and then,
And then it's
Um,
been hanging there.
And then the
They've got other-
subcommittee, that's doing
Mhm.
that.
doing
Yeah,
it
we
to
talked about
start.
Christmas tree lighting. I thought you might wanna be involved.
Mhm.
but-
uh-huh.
Thank
Already.
you.
It's-
I love
it's-
Christmas.
It was like, I have me too.
Looking at it, 'cause I think I could do it this way.
But
But it's kind of like.
Actually.
I did.
Right,
Exactly.
exactly.
My
Oh, jam, I love it.
Yes.
previous
And I
husband was
emailed them, and I didn't
You're
have
so
it for-
rare. Why are you so rare?
Because you
Like,
are what you are, and I was also like,
So I
we
started
haven't
knitting
talked about
this
this yet, but when we
Afghan,
do our
which is
like
a very
calendar, I
large
should-
Mhm.
wonder if you can hold on
So
to
the
it.
doctors would see me. and it
Or
was
in
like
the,
this big finally, I'm carrying.
Oh,
and it
yeah.
was good.
Strawberry.
And they said. "We've
He's
got to
already
get
there.
it done."
Bringing
I
stuff
was
into
so
it.
excited. I'm carrying-
So our only thing has been,
Yeah.
we both
That's
can't be
funny.
there all day because our kids.
No, you're fine.
have
I
kids. I mean,
compiled,
they have
uh,
some time to be like, okay.
a lot
we're
more
small.
specific
Mom and Dad, you're busy,
Sure,
but
sent
that's
to
not like.
you.
When I
hours.
first started crocheting, I didn't know how
that
to
broke
end it.
down
Alright.
Well, it wasn't emotional
a
support,
bit
it was just like
more
trying
Don't
to
be
like
too
it.
of what we had talked
But
about.
I did it like this wide, and I did it with like
We'll try to talk.
You know,
about it again.
heavy acrylic yarn.
Should have
to start with.
been the first year they
And
did.
it just got longer and longer and longer and longer and longer and longer.
I said, this stuff I got from Halo people.
Monster for
I
fitting
got some new stuff. in
Yeah.
there.
I don't even know that about different stuff. I don't know.
That's how I am with when I make rugs,
I had
Yeah.
a whole conversation with Henry. 'Cause I said, oh, I.
which seems doable.
You don't know me. But I do. I
You think, oh, I'll make a big
Sister.
10x8 rugs. Okay. So when it gets to be like
Quirky
6
little
feet.
weirdo, and I
Where
love
you
it.
It was a
working on
quirky
it?
little
So-
weirdo.
Yeah,
It
it has
has
to
to
be.
be.
On your
Are you
back?
sitting on the
Yeah, in your back,
Yeah.
it's just
I
like.
I think you meant it,
Uh-huh,
but you were
uh-huh.
6.
On-
I had no idea how heavy
Yeah.
that thing was gonna be.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah?
It's a million
Probably a
pounds, and
Dottie
I'm
at
trying to
home.
sit it across my lap and like.
And like I brought.
Yeah,
papers,
like,
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 you know.
of course I could do, cause I was like
Yeah.
It's pretty
15,
low
you know, my
key,
back wasn't
But I'm like,
destroyed
it
yet.
also coincides with my.
Yeah,
art
it's
night
pretty wild.
Yeah,
And all the arts at the Creek Club.
My
and
child now
stuff
is,
like that was
Getting
pushing
into
me.
all sorts of art. projects,
yeah, and when is it?
She
It's
gets
a month
apologies
before our
and
event?
she like
Yeah,
runs out
it's
of
in
felt.
May.
Okay. Oh,
Oh,
months
me, you know,
before.
we don't have a ton of money, but like.
Yeah,
this
I
really
could
we
do
just
that.
work on,
So
like,
we'll
oh,
talk
this
about
is
the,
permanent.
like,
Your
event
granny will
stuff
tell you.
a
Okay.
little later.
This is
Okay.
just
But that was one
my
thing that
life
I
coming
was-
back
It's
to,
super- it's
to
pretty
haunt me
simple.
with
It
craft
just takes the,
supplies,
like,
but she
promoting
makes
it
masks.
And showing up. with
And
the
then we're running out of
materials.
room, like she's
And
got
for me, like I
thumbtacks
said,
all
last
on the
year,
wall
it
in her
was like-
room that have
it was
masks on them and
after my
it's running
art
out of
school.
space,
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
Are they like feather or are they, clay?
There, so we have
Um,
paper mache,
Yeah, no,
like
that's
cat mask.
fine.
And then
especially
she
if
puts
it's only
felt
2
on
hours.
top of it,
Scheduled it. 'cause we have
paints
to
it,
get together with parts.
glues
That's
fur
part-
to it in chunks
Okay.
that, where she wants to put it. She does
Right.
light noses and mesh for the eyes and it's like 11.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
No, that's
You
fine,
think the
cause like
puppet
even when
museum
I
in Portland?
showed up with
I knew
Deborah
there was a
and
puppet
was
museum.
Your
like
dog,
for
so-
chalk walk or whatever, I think
Oh,
I was there about
crazy.
2 hours
Yeah.
to just
Because they
open
have-
up and the kids were,
Uh-huh.
They will have
Oh.
production there.
but yeah, I was there for about 2 hours and the kids just
Um,
leave. I was just like, go
yeah.
to the park.
Next step is
Yeah,
to
and
make
come back
it
when you're done.
It's really fun. to
So-
do.
Mhm. I used to work with
Yeah,
the cast iron carousel marionette troupe
Okay,
in St.
then you
John's.
would.
Yeah.
Okay.
You would love it.
Yeah, you guys are like,
Wait,
well, right, girl.
This is the basics.
Well, trying to like capitalize on the whole
So now you're
subcommittee
going
thing,
to-
like we don't all need to be a part of every mindset.
And that's a great
Yes.
way to get some shit off your
Yeah.
plate
Yeah.
and not
And you
feel
can-
so
Tell them.
constantly overwhelmed. Well, that's,
Mhm.
I mean, delegations, like,
Yeah.
like there's no point in having a
I'm not a
whole
collector.
committee full of 7 people, 6 people or whatever.
That.
And then I have
Yeah.
my grandchildren come over and I.
Like when we get to the event,
tip
talk
dining
about,
chairs
like,
over
let's do less, do it really well.
Yeah.
Make us all-
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Yeah.
this
Like, so it's-
backdrop,
That's
and
cool.
I'm super- And they have to come up with their
I
own
like
stories.
Jean's idea of the, or whoever it was, of that was like,
Two different.
you know, we need a
Mhm.
volunteer coordinator, we need a food coordinator.
They have to
When they
produce
can't
social
all
work.
just be, like, one person can't be like,
I
oh,
love
I'll
it.
do all three of those or whatever, just be like, no, you're not allowed.
Kids who are born
You know,
with
everyone needs to do a different thing,
Mhm.
or we find
Well-
someone in the community to fill that role. But like, we need that.
She's autistic,
So
yeah.
they're really short,
Mhm.
but it's, you gotta have.
Um,
purpose in it.
Yep.
And then
Like
my
this
job is
year,
to
We had
untangle.
so many community organizations.
Oh, yeah. Yep, yep.
So-
Yeah, that's a whole job.
It's just that I'm the professional untangler.
And it
But
made
it's
every,
just, I think
That's
when you
cool.
get kids
Like, I
who
didn't
are
have to
really
plan a craft.
creative,
mhm.
we
and you
didn't
give
have to
them
run
a
a craft
venue,
because all
to
these community
tell a
organizations.
story.
Mhm.
Or if they don't
So,
have
like,
the language
I think
skills.
just double
I
down on that for
listen
next year,
to
you know,
it,
like,
let's keep it
hopefully that will.
simple.
Yeah, totally.
Abusive situations, so. they
So,
chose-
When you're planning your summer,
Mhm.
what's the date? I should look it up.
Well, so
That's cool.
and be a
we don't
part
have
of the
any big
story.
trips this year.
Mhm.
Our anniversary is the
But
26th.
I'm trying to find
always.
ways to keep all of them engaged.
So we'll be there for our wedding anniversary.
And I did You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. We had a lot
Every-
of
every
kids,
year. That's what happened with summer
special
celebration.
needs, and we had this
I,
little girl
I
who's
like,
Last
we
Saturday,
lived
she
here
was
for
autistic
5
and
years
she
and
was
never went to a single
nonverbal,
one
or, like,
because we got
very
married on the
graduate.
first one.
And
Oh,
she
so
was
it's like all the
with
first ones that we're still like super
the,
excited about it all.
Yeah,
hydrant,
exactly.
fire hydrant that was in her head. She
It
was like
was 11
buddies with
years
it. She would
last
sit next to
July.
it. And so we were like,
Okay.
well, what if we just like put
I'm not big on my
you know,
wedding
like-
anniversary,
like
like the
big
date.
puppets in the show? We had like the cutouts and we had the kids.
I
like,
just,
dance
so
around
because
part
we
of
like
that,
got
you know,
together
because there's
in
no seven
August and then we were
characters,
married
whatever.
in June.
I was like, I want to
It's like make
get
one
I want
time in the
35
summer.
kids in my show.
Next
Mhm.
And so we had
We've been together like
two
10 years.
Woodstocks.
Very
We
fun.
had one
It's like,
little boy
do it.
with
Maybe
the
we do
little
next year.
hawk and
Well,
he could
we
run
always-
around his Woodstock.
It's
And then
just
his
like
little
always like
brother
a great
was a
week,
little
you know,
Woodstock,
it's like
and then
that
he had
last
a
week of
duck
July.
bird,
It's
the
always like
Woodstocks
good
behind
weather.
him.
It's usually
We
not a
had,
heat wave or anything
shower-
like that. So it's always, and
Kind of dependable.
songs,
yeah,
had a
exactly.
dancing
So we can
kite.
like plan something.
It was
You know, I can get
so
like a
much fun, and we
cabin
basically just turned all the
in
kids into
January
volunteers.
and I know like
Um,
it'll be
and then
a
some of
good
these
weekend to
kids,
go.
like, everybody's
But,
like, I don't know why you're
but
putting
yeah,
them on
this
the show.
year we're
Like,
not doing
yeah,
any
but
big trips
such
because
a
Steve is actually
favorite
going to
production, like,
Geneva by
all the kids
himself
are so
to
good
run
and cohesive
that
and,
race
like,
again.
It's
Oh,
great.
yeah.
And there's only 7 parts, you know, there's only 7
No, I
kids
haven't-
speaking parts or whatever.
Yeah,
we
I've
had
done
35
children's
kids.
theater. I've done- Yeah, so, yeah, I totally agree. I think I love seeing
to help.
these kids find increase their safety
Mhm,
Right.
mhm.
and increase their self.
Yeah, and be part of the group and like, you know, learn how to participate in a safe way with people who can support them. And what's great about it is that that's the summer show. You see them at school and they're all, it's so good to see you.
Yeah.
They,
Yeah, I
they get social
walked
capital.
in every business and they got zero
otherwise
business
said
and
either,
they cut me a
because
check
these,
right then.
like
Every single
singers,
one
you know,
was
they're
like,
popular
"This is
kids.
great,
All
I'll
they're
look it
hanging
up."
out with these kids that are like,
Which means
I
that
wanted to
shut
take
down
that
in the
off the
hallway.
back, but
Oh, wait, no, come
But the one that I really want
You
to
have your friend in the summer, you know.
different locations.
Great, I love it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, yeah, and you can,
Yeah.
making, if you're making posters, you can adjust them.
Sit down.
outside.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, totally. Be like, hey. we want
COVID
you back.
sort of
Because like
helped
they might
the
have
theater
donated
appear,
$1,000.
but,
Like,
That's
we don't want to
very
chase down
exciting.
$50.
yeah.
I've been a
I
director.
can get
and
mine
producer.
in. We make our
Producer,
piece and then
I've done that,
and
so
then
I-
it just gives us.
I would
money.
like to. have
Yeah.
community
We don't have to work for it.
That's
Yeah.
just
Mhm.
what I'd like to-
And
I'm
that
not
goes
here.
on our
There's that.
little thing, like
Can I-
support, so.
One thing that we
Tag them,
did
marching band.
the last
Yes,
few
totally.
years before.
And, well, and I
COVID,
also
that was really fun is we did
volunteering, or I
a
was going
radio
to
play. So I think the last one
my
we did
hat and
War of the
be
Worlds
volunteer
and did
coordinator.
it at the
If I was
community
here, that's what
center.
I
I
was
did
saying
the
last
Foley
year.
stuff. That's my
I was
thing.
like,
Like,
it's something we really need. I know
Um,
no one's able to do it.
But that was super fun
'Cause
and
that's what
really
I actually
accessible
did
because
that
then
when
everybody
I
can have their
went to the
scripts, you know, like
celebration
we just
of last-
rehearsed at the library and then we just rented the space and
And we had an
I think we did it as a
They've got great
fundraiser for the
grades,
food
that
bank
people come
actually.
up to that we could
So have you been to the tough?
could be like,
city?
oh, great, you're
No.
here to do the acts here. Let me
No.
walk you down, introduce you, to you're gonna be helping out today.
What used to be
Um,
actual radio station.
And so it's like, I just like
did
sat at a
great.
table and like, it
That's
was
what-
up to me, and then I
Yeah.
would
Gina
Second.
walk around and
She never did
direct.
that for us
As a
this
draft
last
for
year.
that.
We didn't have enough volunteers that mattered. But last
Yeah.
year we had like a check-in.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that would be something.
Oh, really?
Like.
Yep.
So that-
Yep.
Like a legal standpoint.
And also, we had like
She's
all
from
sorts of
Japan.
pamphlets and, you know, stuff
They
about
less than 19,
arts commission
20
stuff
years.
that like
Basically
a
the-
random person could come by and be like, hey, what's this booth about? And we're like, take all
You
these
know, like,
things,
right.
here's our summer
They're
passport, have you done one of these yet?
Summarize.
You know,
Yeah.
so it's not
information
just
like that.
volunteer,
That's-
it's like
yeah.
kind of just.
Oh, yeah.
So,
The
yeah,
light that we shake the.
yeah, and it was good.
And then they have organ player,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and then they have a lady who goes through this.
Oh, yeah, that's what we,
audience
they,
dressed up
that's
as a
what they
cigarette girl.
did.
Oh,
with
cool.
us over
Together,
here.
Yeah.
And they were awesome.
cigarettes,
Nice.
Yeah.
Cigars, then around the fellowship hall, the old
Yep.
church, they have you get wine.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah, they
That's
set
so
up everything.
fun.
people who attend.
And
go
they
outside
ran
and
a bunch of the.
Which I have.
run around.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
And it's really, I think tickets are like, if you get them on Facebook.
What is it, Tesla radio?
Tesla radio. series.
Okay.
Last year,
And
but like
think
they were
we
super
would
cool.
ask-
So.
I would.
Yeah,
My
when we
daughter
had
would love that.
In that back storeroom is like. a
One of my
bunch things,
all-time
a bottle of
favorite
water,
movies. I
a
can't
bunch
even
of
remember the
things,
name
like
of it. If
granola
it's Radio
bars,
Days or
some
if it's the
bananas,
Manhattan
you
Radio
could probably
Murders, but
get
it's the
from
one
these
where
donated on our
Christopher
Target
Lloyd
for
is the
our
Foley
volunteers.
artist, and they
And
have
it's
that
kind
scene
of
at the
like,
end where they're
Go
climbing
take
the
a
radio
break,
tower.
Get a little food in
Just
your
thinking
mouth,
about that
and
today, like, oh, it's been so long since I saw that movie. I need to watch it again. We did Radio Noir on
Yeah.
the radio
So, like,
all
half of it
through
was
college.
and
We
then
had
half
the
of it
Dead
was
Here
video.
Footsteps
Okay.
production.
That's where we had like.
It was my senior project actually, was making a film of it. But
Yeah, we had a
I
cooler.
think
in
I
there
did that
drinks,
for the
popsicles.
4 years I was in school and then 2 more after I
Yeah.
graduated when I
That's
was
when
working in the children's
Last year
theater. I was in that production. Oh, that is
Yeah.
so cool.
Smart.
That is so
I
good.
with Michelle would stay.
But
But I think it's. Like it's
and, you know, like we could, like I said,
This would be, they have,
you donate a
Halloween
thing
time.
of, you know,
It's- they
48.
do- But it's just, it's
where you
really. good.
donate
I
like
don't know
2
what
dozen
their
bananas,
prices are now.
a couple of
It's
orange
not,
kiwi bags.
it's kind of like.
You know, all they can do is say no, but
Grab
they're
whatever
almost,
seat
they're
you want.
really great
I'd always
about
get there about. a
doing it,
half
especially
40
in-house
minutes.
stuff, like they did with the pie walk.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
And,
they
and
they
this
write it off,
is-
it's there, it's not like, you know, they have to cut you a check or orders or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, the guy loaded, he like went.
Yeah,
shopping
that's
and,
that's
you
what
know,
I
took
used
me
to
around
do back
store
in the
and
day.
fun, you know, and so,
Super helpful.
She may not be doing it now, but.
Yeah.
So here's.
so
what
that's
there's
something, yeah,
for
we can
girls.
talk about on the subcommittee.
That's cute.
But,
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
yeah, cause I have a pretty
appreciate
good,
it.
Then everything is, that you've got
But I
done
mean,
by
I
the
love it.
papers.
Mhm.
yeah, he's a very nice guy.
And then they have during break
Like
time.
what comes down to
People
and
think
for
we're not
me, it's like, it was just like, and I was bothering Natty.
Snacks.
last year,
Mhm.
Cause I was like,
Then they
she's the
have
one that
the
did it
local
with the first year.
and
Oh,
musician
So we had like a
can play.
constant stream of
But then they
communication
have,
about like,
the
did we do
Foley,
this,
the
did we do
guys
this, we need to
will
follow
ask
this.
volunteers.
And
not-
for me, I'm.
Oh, I love it.
all
The
on
whole-
my own.
So the break time
Yeah.
is really
I'm like,
fun,
uh-huh.
something was fun. But yeah, she's selling candy.
Yeah,
That's so fun.
Yeah,
I.
So,
think, you
that's
know,
how I feel. I
Just
made
to
a
have
pitch
somebody
you
to
too.
text and be like, oh my gosh, did I do this? Should I be doing this now? You know, like that's. the
My
kind of
dream
support
for
that
the
I need.
longest
Yeah.
time was to be part of the sound effects chorus in Los
Yeah.
Angeles. Have you seen them perform?
Yeah, and that's the thing.
They
it's like,
did
that's the
an
good thing about
Oscar
stuff like this,
presentation
we could
years
be
ago.
like,
They did a Honda
let's go
commercial, I
meet at
think.
the coffee shop.
But
for
it's
an
like
hour.
150
like,
people in this chorus,
you know,
and
like,
all
we
of the
could
sound
just, like,
effects in the
you know,
commercial are done by the
just
choir.
do it.
It's
They
a lot
like,
easier to get 3 people together than.
you know, and it's just so
you
cool.
know,
And then
it
the
doesn't have to
conductor
be
cueing
at,
and everything.
you know, on a
But they did
night at,
uh,
you know, or
Right.
yeah, or whatever,
Oscar winning
Yeah. Hey, I
You
gotta
found
get-
yourself.
sound.
Yeah, exactly. We got a yard
Uh,
fenced in.
As one of the intros when they did the technical awards one year for the Oscars back when they still did that as part of the Oscars.
Yeah, let me look at this
Um,
next.
But the sound effects chorus are so cool.
There's I think, you'll see. it
Yeah,
in
they're
the
talking
side
about
of the
chocolate
photo.
vegetation,
It's
there's cream in the fridge.
Not only
and
a
there's
city
sugar.
choir, I think,
Oh, he's back.
That would be so great. Mhm.
All right, Alicia's joined the Arts
Sign
and
me up.
Creek
I'll
subcommittee.
Totally show up and participate with that.
All right, we'll get it going.
All right, tagged Alicia into several things. Yay.
Great. Love volunteering people who aren't here, and I love it even more when they agree.
There she wrote, I'm like, there were several things I kind of already hoped you would do. And you just, hopefully that will be great.
Are we restarting officially?
She-
Yet.
Yeah, I mean, she's getting coffee. I was just gonna say something that she said that she would be happy to take on, like being a volunteer coordinator.
Sweet.
So yay, I added that to like the roles at the top.
Love it.
Isabella, is there
There's
something
one
you'd like to
parenting.
jump in and join regarding Arts in the Creek? Did you see?
I talked to Miss Packard about the, like when it starts up again, her telling the students about it.
Yeah, awesome. And we're about to go, after we talk about the poetry piece, we'll go through the sort of events and commitments that we have next year. And that would be a great time for you to like jump in and let us know what things you'd like to get involved in that will be up on our calendar next year. And as a group, we can talk about what those things are. But we really want to make sure that we spend the time and effort and energy about the poetry because that's sort of a big thing for next year. So, tag.
Okay, I put together a little pamphlet of the stuff, most of which I had sent you before, that we postponed discussion on. The last 2 pages are new things that I just got a couple weeks ago from Mankato for updates. The first page is issues and actions, and the second page is a sample advertisement or solicitation of poems, which you can look at. And I thought what I'd do is just run through these 9 items and give you what I prefer and what information I have attached, and then we can discuss what you want to do with them. So number 1 is, do we have a committee of the whole or a subcommittee? It sounds like we might move towards subcommittee. I'd be happy to be part of that. Do we want non-commissioned members? And I think we probably will need some before the project is finished, so we should think about that. And I would recommend a paid judge participant. Mankato, I think, paid between $75 and $100 the first year. The subcommittee would get the applications and make sure they met the requirements and then pass them on to the judge. But if the judge has to do that sorting as well, then they were talking about paying a couple $100.
Is that a judge, like there's one judge that makes the decision?
I think that, or you could have the judge makes recommendations to the subcommittee or to the council.
So let's pause on that. Deborah had signed on to like a subcommittee to do that with you, right? Is that still good for you, Deborah?
Yep, I can still do that.
Is there anyone else do we need a third person or does the 2 of you work?
For what role? Is this, you mean just to be the subcommittee?
Just to be in the
yeah.
subcommittee to talk about
Yeah.
it. Is the 2 of you enough or would you like to recruit a third?
I think a third might be helpful.
Yeah, it's always good to have an odd number of people. So that we can make odd decisions.
Yeah,
To sort of awesome, so.
I would volunteer.
okay. I know that we had previously talked about involving Chelsea as a
Yes, yeah,
paid judge. Would we be up for
I would
propose
recommend
somebody?
that, just from my limited experience.
Well, she's a
Uh,
great human and
yeah.
we all trust her judgment.
Mhm.
I
Who
think.
is Chelsea?
Chelsea was the previous chair of the Arts Commission.
Mhm.
She was the one that read or did a lot of the writing events
Mhm.
in the
Yeah.
past. She's a writer and a collage artist, and she's been involved with the Arts Commission for many years.
She's the homie.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking I'd be happy to test whatever standards we set for evaluation. You know, we're going to solicit things that don't have the writer's name on it. And I would sort them out and put a letter coding on each one, so we can do that as a subcommittee.
So I'll add that as
Yeah.
an action item for you guys would be for
Mm.
somebody to reach out to her and propose that. to
Okay,
her.
yep. Work on that. We'd need to have a contact person for the Estacada Arts Commission or Parks Commission, I'm sorry. We are the Arts Commission. Well, you can see why I need a large committee.
That might be something that you'd have to go to a Parks Commission meeting.
Yeah, we went to one, I was at one last fall, I think, or last spring, and they seemed interested in the idea,
I think,
but we'd have to make an official contact there because,
my bet is Brianna might, Brianna's there's been lots of new additions to the parks
Mhm.
since you and I were there. Weren't there
Mhm.
only like 3
Okay.
people on the commission or something?
yeah,
And 2 of them were leaving at the time. I think if we went again, or if you went again, there's some new people that would definitely maybe be.
And that will be
contact.
crucial because if you look at the information, the Parks Commission in Mankato ended up paying for the posts and that standardized some of the posts. And they also have to be involved in location. And so I would assume that they would monitor public spaces in general. So that would be an
So
important
going to- I think they-
contact. So,
They meet
We'll
on
go
the
there.
last Wednesday of the month.
okay, I can look that up.
May I interrupt
Sure.
here because
Yeah, that's what this
the
is to be
newbie here,
discussed.
so
Hmm.
could you, in short, just describe what the from what I'm reading page
Oh, yeah.
2,
Oh,
what all
sorry.
this is about? Because we're doing detailed things without knowing
Sorry.
what.
Oh,
the
yeah.
pro-
We've been
scope of
talking
the
about it
project.
sort of for like.
Yeah,
a year.
we'll-
Yeah, sorry.
Not mu-
This is a sample sign from the Mankato project, which
Okay.
is sort of our pattern that we're using. Has my poem. It has the QR code. It has directions for the park area. It has this logo of the sponsoring organization. The people who printed the signs got a discount or
Mhm, mhm.
So it's the idea is we're putting
The idea
a
is to
number
put-
of signs like that
to
on
solicit-
posts throughout public places in
Yeah.
town so that people can enjoy local writers.
to solicit
Okay.
poems from writers in the area to be put up in this format in Estacada, in public spaces.
Okay, so let me just rephrase this to make sure I understand. This is a call to different artists to participate, not writers to participate in like a call for art, be a call for poets.
Yeah.
And then the judge or committee would then select the top 20, and then it would be on display for how long in the public art?
Well, that's a point further down. I'm thinking 3 to 5 years. And again, from Mankato, they've had them they do 2-year rotation.
Uh-huh,
Most of them look good in 2 years. Some of them start fading depending on sunlight on
right,
the space, but
okay. All right, okay, just so I understand.
Okay, oh,
We're-
yeah.
We're good to
Sorry
go.
about-
Now I understand what you're
yeah,
trying to do
I'm
here.
sorry.
And it's not just for artists, it's for anyone in the community to
For artists, you
submit.
mean
Any writer.
Any writers.
Yeah, anybody who wants to write something can do it.
Yeah, so
Okay,
like,
for writers.
So there's not an
It's open
age
to you.
restriction or?
there's no age restriction. That
That's
we talked
discussed
about.
a little
right?
bit further
Okay.
down, so
Okay,
we'll
all
work. our way
right, keep
through
going. I got it now.
Sorry, I think
Also,
that's
I
good.
think
I see what we're
about,
talking about.
We've been,
potential
like,
sponsors
perfect
and
for forever.
printers.
Well, I
Oh,
went
yeah, I
to the
haven't heard of
printer
it since
and
March, so-
Whitney Signs can do a sign. He says better than this for $45.
Okay,
And typically when the parks in Mankato put the posts in, that was another $45.
can I
So
ask you, is he Sean?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
drink water, yeah.
That, so, okay, that's just rolls into a question and conversation that I had with another commission
Hmm.
member. Can we do a competitive pricing with Lake Printing also?
Oh, I'm sure we could, I probably should, but when I started this, I was told this is the only place in town to
Yeah.
do this.
They're not in town, they're up in Garfield, but it's 2 miles out of town,
Hmm.
but that's all, they do a lot of the printing for,
Okay, yeah.
just because there's a little bit of a issue with the conflict of interest
Mhm.
arising.
Right,
with,
Yeah, we should,
at least get another,
competitive, yeah.
And then
another
also-
few bids in
Yeah.
to see.
who are is Reliance interested in doing the sponsorship also? I mean, I noticed the internet connections,
that was the company of
Right,
the
in
woman who
Mankato.
organized this in Mankato, yeah.
but I mean,
Um,
do we have anybody in mind
I-
that might be a corporate sponsor?
I haven't
for-
made any contacts
Okay.
yet because we haven't taken any official action.
Okay.
So,
I mean, I think
yeah.
that this probably,
Yeah.
we could probably mirror this, and I bet
I
Reliance would
would-
be very interested in. I mean,
Oh,
maybe it sounds like
Reliance,
for
okay.
$1,000, we could get the
Okay.
whole thing launched with sort of startup
Okay.
costs, 5 or 6 signs and posts.
Mhm.
Reliance has been very supportive of public art projects in the
And
past.
they're expanding.
Mhm.
aggressively.
And we were already talking about going to Reliance, right, Jesse? Just in general, to speak to someone about like
They've been a
arts.
consistent donor in the past until
Commission.
the recent past.
Yep.
They haven't made a donation in the last several years.
Oh, really?
Yep, I've been appealing to them, but they have not been responsive, but that's what I was saying, what I really would love to do is
Lean on
make
them a
an
little bit.
actual appointment
Mhm.
with the person that makes the decisions instead of just handing things to people and hoping it gets there.
I'm remembering the name Brenda from back in the day. I don't know what position Brenda has. I haven't met her, but when I was on the commission before, a lot of times Reliance would be supportive, but also want art around their building. So like that waterfall
Mhm.
installation or whatever is in front of the Reliance building, I think was part of maybe the Main Street thing. And so they were supported us, and then we supported getting art as part of the building.
Oh, so
the-
maybe you're thinking like we could put a sign near their building.
Right. So they might want like a post with a poem like outside of the Reliance building might be a
Like on the.
negotiation
Oh,
feature or like,
About the internet.
yeah, yeah. Well, because they had been asking about covering the electrical boxes at one point, and they really wanted those
Oh,
birds
that's a cool idea.
outside of Reliance, and then that project fell through. But I think that that is a good way to encourage
Yeah,
their,
I was kind of thinking that the electric company would be another good
Yep.
sponsor.
Yep.
So
PG&E, is that?
I wonder if maybe you and Dave could make an appointment with the CEO and go together and pitch this idea and then Arts Commission more broadly for upcoming Arts of the Creek and. et
Well, and then,
cetera, et
yeah, tell
cetera.
them, you know, like if you want us to put, cause I mean, that's the other thing too, is if this placard sits outside of the
For
business.
3 years.
Then people that walk in and out of the
Yeah,
business are like, oh, they also support local art.
also
You know what I
all
mean?
over
Like,
town,
that's-
Yeah,
not even
yeah.
right outside the business, like any mom taking their kid up to the park is gonna see
Yep.
it and, you know, people doing disc golf and.
That's actually a really good idea, is getting onto the public space with the disc golf course.
Yeah,
That's
the
it.
portal.
That's a PGE conversation, it's Timber. Park.
yeah.
Like,
Oh, that's
One in
theirs.
Timber Park
Yeah.
is a PGE park.
Well, and PGE has deep pockets.
I mean, and they are already supporting us, like they support us for Arts at the Creek.
Well, if we pay them 17% annual increases, then they.
Yeah.
should support-
So Dave, maybe you and I can coordinate and find a time to talk to Reliance
Sure.
together.
Yep.
And just sit there until they give us money.
Woo them,
We're
woo
gonna
them
camp
back.
out in front of the building.
Yeah, we're talking
We're
about.
having a sit-in.
and
until you
We're
give us
talking
money.
about at least $100 per sign. I would like us to aim for 10
Mhm.
for the first year, because we need to have
Yeah,
enough to
street
make
lights.
a.
To
Well,
buy a
and
full
isn't
floor
that-
art,
Well,
to make
yeah,
it
well,
more-
to.
Also, isn't that something
revisit.
that we can have a concrete,
Oh, we also save
yeah.
money doing 10 instead of.
can't we
one.
put that in our budget? And be like, these are the things, the concrete things that we're doing, or can't we carve off some of the 1% for this kind of project?
No,
I mean,
the
if that.
1% is a much more complex
Yeah.
thing to get there, but we could, I will add that into like when I email Sadie, be like, we are working on this project.
Right.
And we would love the city's financial support.
Yep.
In order to get this project done.
Well, yeah. and
So
we
I
need-
will ask them
We need
about.
1,000, I mean, if
I
you,
think
if
we
you,
could do it for 12 to 1,500 with the
right.
paid.
I mean, if you need 15, ask for 2, right? Well, I mean, that's kind of how that works
Yeah.
too.
Mhm.
And then you could also say, we also are trying to get some corporate sponsorship and, you know, we'll see try to get a competitive bid and, you know, we're also doing all these other things, but if everything falls through, you know, we would still
You
like
think-
to do this project.
What would we wanna ask the city for, like $1,000?
He was just saying maybe
1,500.
15.
I think if we got 1,500, we could do it, but it'd be nice to have it set
A
up
buffer.
so we could look ahead.
Let's ask for
Just ask
2,000.
For the 2,000.
Yeah.
So I'll ask the city
Then
for,
maybe we can do 50-50. We get
okay, and
outside sponsor or.
it likely might be something that Sadie will say, you'll need to bring this to city council,
Mhm.
so we might have to like finesse.
Sita has already told us the city has to approve this, city council has to approve it because it's involving city properties.
Yeah.
It has to, adhere to the sign code, there's other hurdles,
I feel like.
which is probably, I mean, it's a great project. It's gonna fit, but we still have to go through that process.
So can you wrap that into your presentation to city council?
Can I-
Asking about the money?
Make a proposal that we would first ask them to approve the project and then go back and ask them for the money.
Yeah. figure
Because
the
I
first
think that
step.
if we wrap it in together, then there might be a no associated with the project that's maybe more tied to the money.
That makes sense. What are you thinking for the timeline for when you would go to city council to ask to approve it?
As soon as possible. I'll have to check the schedule.
Yeah, I mean, as far as that bureaucracy goes, the
Mhm.
sooner you get in front of them, the more, you know what I mean? Cause nothing happens fast.
Is there a meeting, is it Monday, first Monday in November?
I
Is
think
that their
it's-
next
I
meeting?
think there's another one. There was
Before.
one
Looking it up right now.
that on the 28th or something like that.
I think it's 2 a month. I don't know. Yeah.
So Dave, do you want to go ahead and schedule a meeting with Elena
Okay,
or Sadie?
It depends on who's on the
I will do that.
Cause that's the,
Oh,
before we
yeah.
even go to city.
Yeah,
council,
we have
that
to get
needs
there, yeah.
happen.
Give the new, yeah.
Both of them are
Makes sense.
absolutely wonderful. So.
Yeah.
Soon as possible. Good. Yep.
So the first thing we need to do is talk to city manager, and then the second thing we need to do is go to city hall and get it, or go to city council and get it
And
approved.
I would also ask, you probably would want to involve Don DeRocio, I can't remember his last name, the
Public
Director of
Works.
Public Works, because we would be asking that crew
Yeah.
to do the installation of all these posts.
Yep. We just keep going down there. We need our own design and Vincent was on the council when we first started talking about this and he said he could draft a design.
It might be more appropriate to ask somebody like Maddie. Who's
Okay,
more of a
I thought of
graphic
Maddie as
designer.
well too. Yeah.
Vincent
Okay.
might be switching roles too in a month
Mm,
if he gets elected to city
Or
council.
Not,
Not
Not
that
that
Vincent.
one.
We're talking about the Vincent the
Vin-
artist from
Oh,
Arts,
Vincent was on
the art
yeah,
commission.
Vince.
Yeah.
Vincent,
Vincent.
yeah.
Not Perks Vincent.
I just think for like a sign design that's eye-catching and involves logos, that a graphic designer would be a better call.
Okay.
Vectorized.
Fine. That's-
Mhm. She'll know how to
He
do
was
all the
on the
right
council when we
files.
first started talking about it.
So we can,
And remind me that,
I mean, since it's a city project, your probably best practice would be to reach out to like the Clackamas County Arts Alliance and have them put out a call for graphic designers and have people send us samples of their work, and include Maddie in that and invite her and invite Vincent, but, you know, for something like this,
I mean, I'm thinking it's really just putting together logos and a poem, though. Like if you look
But
at
if
that,
we-
it's not like it's a,
if we pay them though, I mean,
Also, we
That's the
might, we
thing,
might
Maddie
have
would
to
do it for free.
consider that, is Maddie still willing to, I mean, they have essentially moved 100 miles away and started a new life.
Yeah.
So we might have to,
I
let
think it's worth
her-
asking her if we
Okay.
can get it done for free rather than paying somebody. I also think that like, I'm looking at that, it doesn't look like it's gonna take a whole lot of effort to make a design. Like, I might be able to make that on Canva. Like, I might not have the
Well-
whole thing, but like that particular one that I'm looking at.
I'm gonna push back
Is
a little
that-
bit and just say like, it would be nice if we can find a small amount of money to pay a graphic designer. Like, part of our purpose as the Arts Commission has always been to support working artists. And I think asking for volunteer work to do professional artwork, because that's really what this is. It's not just about doing the design, it's about having appropriate margins, making sure that the digital format is correct, that we are working with the printer, like it can turn into more work. And even if it's a small stipend, I think it would be really nice if we could pay somebody like $200 or something to help with this. If it means that we have to put out a call and have a little bit more step, like I'd be willing to go through applications, but I do feel really strongly that if it's something that we're gonna have out, that we really should like offer to pay.
I agree with Jean. Like,
So if
let's give some local artists in Clackamas area a chance to win our business and get paid.
So just if we're going to do that, I'm looking at Dave and Deborah, since this is on your subcommittee, I'm not gonna volunteer to do this. But the Clackamas County Arts Alliance, if you go to their website, you can click on a little thing that says like you're promoting your opportunity, and it's a really quick little form. You can put in like Estacada Area Arts Commission, call for artists, and that gets sent out to a huge number of people.
For
Um,
graphic design for the
Mhm.
And it could literally be
project.
like, please email, you know, your experience, your pay, and a couple, you know, examples of your work to the Arts Commission email, like it's something
And I-
really simple little blurb. It
That's a
goes
good idea.
out Cause that's how I got a ton of vendors for Arts at the Creek, and it's a pretty
Mhm.
simple little form. And then you guys will have to decide if it's like an application or if you're literally just like trying to make contact with people. Just that gets pretty simple and it goes out in their little like digest email that goes out to everybody. That would be the easiest way, I think, to like do a call for artists because it's gonna get a lot more visibility than like a Facebook post. Which we can do, we can double that up
Yeah.
as a Facebook post, but
And I can volunteer to send that out.
Okay.
I might
Awesome.
ask for like a clip, like
Oh.
an image of that so
Okay,
that we
yeah.
can give
Well,
them
that's
an
right, sorry.
example, but
forgot you're also on that. So,
yeah.
yeah, so if you just click on that, it's like a promote your opportunity thing.
I think
Mhm.
that's a good idea. We
They
lean,
do lots of calls.
we
for
lean
artists.
on Maddie a lot and she's been there for us a lot, which is absolutely fantastic. But I do like the idea of like, you should
Yeah,
be
putting that up.
paid for your work.
Mhm.
And that's our job as an arts commission is to like promote artists and, I think that's a good idea.
And we could forward it to Maddie. I
Like,
mean,
cause,
she could totally.
'cause we
submit
would
us up.
never like, our whatever it is that we're getting city art.
for the
We
record,
never
we've
go
been-
and say, give us some of your art for free.
And
Cause we'll
since
put it at
Maddie
City
is
Hall,
not- Since Maddie has not been on the commission, like we have paid her for her work. Just
Mhm.
Right, right. But that's the thing also is if we are gonna pay, that opens up another thing of like, now
Open.
it is incumbent upon us to open that up because we're not just gonna call our one friend,
Right. Okay, so that's
If I look
4.
down
We're
to
on
number
5.
5, this would cover maybe both the art applications and the poetry applications. We have them sent to the city hall. Does the staff do any sorting or do we just have to come in and check our mailbox here? Okay, so that won't be a problem or an issue. We've already started on 6 promotion beyond city web pages. I mean,
That could be easy ask out to
Okay,
the
yeah.
Clackamas County Arts Alliance too.
okay, and we can do the same. I mean, I have 4 or 5 poets that I want to contact that I know to submit things and I'll put it on my homepage or website and stuff, but if we all download these and share them, is that sufficient advertising, do you think?
What about that thing you just said about us or the Clackamas
Yeah, I mean, that's.
Arts Alliance?
Mhm.
That
Yeah,
that could be a
that'll work for
separate
the visual art, but it probably won't.
word
Poetry
for
Does
poet.
it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, good.
It's
Okay.
2 different
Oh,
emails you're
okay.
gonna send,
Okay.
but
It's opportunities, that is a great place to
Good,
put
yeah.
that. There's
Yeah.
also, some state websites that have requests for artistic
yeah.
creation things, so there's lots of
Okay,
places we
okay.
could promote it.
I like the idea of, and this might be further down, but of kids being involved. And so have you set up something with Danny? Do you have line of communication with Danny Randall?
She's responded to one of my emails in June.
Okay, okay, so,
But that night
Maybe
you're looking, we're
you
looking
can-
at our youth connection here.
right, but
like-
I was thinking broader than just the high school. Like if that's something that we want to maybe ask our librarians at the 2 elementaries and the high school and the middle school, sorry, I couldn't think of the word. To put up a sign, I mean, I don't know, like, be like,
And that might be something.
we're
that
looking for
one of our
poetry
subcommittees-
submissions,
Can we hold off on that just a second? I
Okay.
want to look at number 8.
Okay,
And I would like to see this as a 3 to 5 year program. And that way I think the signs would last 3 years for sure. And in a couple of years, we would have an idea of what they do. And I would think 10 per year as a goal.
I feel like 3 is good. So if you wait too long, just people might forget about it.
yeah, 3 is good, especially if they start showing
I
where,
don't know what, it isn't waiting. It's a matter, we do one every year, we do 10 every year.
Oh,
the
to
next
add
3 to
10
5
every
years.
year and then
Yeah, do
on
10
the
every
30
year
you
for-
replace the first
Then,
one.
yeah.
Gotcha.
oh,
3 to
smart.
5.
Catch that.
Oh,
I didn't
sorry.
either, I didn't either.
I thought it was like 10 and then wait
Okay.
3 years and
No,
do 10
no.
more.
So if we're doing 3-year cycles with 10 per year, then that means we need 30 sites. So I
Yeah.
guess it's a question of like, do we have 30 viable sites?
I would think so. But we only have to find 10 this year.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, and it could be, we sort of go as we go. and
Yeah.
maybe
Find 10 this year, find
Yeah.
10 next
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying in terms of like whether we decide it's a 3-year cycle or a 5-year cycle, we could say like at least 3 years.
Yeah, that's.
And not make a commitment right
Yeah.
now, but I think it's dependent probably on like,
So I know that with all the new housing going in, that, the city is mandating a bit that they put in public spaces,
Yeah.
put in little playgrounds, little bike paths, stuff like that. So even
there
if
be
you
some
can't
more
think of 30 spots now,
Oh, yeah, there
in
might
3
be more.
years from now,
mhm, mhm.
you're, in 2 years from now, you might. But also, I think if with the addition of Timber Park, I mean,
should we come up with 10 locations right now?
I've got that list already made.
awesome.
We don't need to do that right
My
now.
concern is,
Great.
is aiming for the 30 right now to let them know. I think because we're involving maintenance or involving park, we're
Right.
doing all that schedule. This is just not us getting the 10 sites. It's them committing to ongoing maintenance, installation and that type of thing.
Mhm.
I think you need a buy-in for growth and saying we're going for a minimum of 10 this year. We're doing a walk before we run. Our goal is to add 10 each year, but that's asking for a major commitment from maintenance, parks and recs and other locations.
Yeah,
So I think to give them, here's phase 1 for sure, we'll have a review. And then we'll go for phase 2 the next year or augment or change, downgrade it based on the economy or if there's a new COVID or whatever that hits. But I think you need to sell phase 1 only. Don't push so hard on phase 2 or 3. We have that in the wings
Yeah.
for phase 2 or 3, but there'll be a review at the end of the.
I would want to
installation
say
phase
that we're hoping to make this.
We do
Yeah,
hope it-
yeah.
Look like if it continues. to
here's
move
the
forward.
long-term,
But
but
this
this
is
year is
organic.
just
This
10.
is organic,
Mhm.
willing to change and augment it. So I would push personally for 10 sites. Saying we have others on the burn, depend on development and stuff like that, but only show them the 10 right now, because it will be overwhelming to them.
Yeah, I think we should maybe set our expectations too, that even if we intend for this to be an annual cycle, that the first one, as Bev is pointing out, it might take 2 years for the first cycle because people want a review process or people want to talk about it or.
If they're not willing to, I mean, it's a simple project.
Mhm.
Right.
It's putting 10 posts in the ground, putting 10 signs on.
I hear you.
That's
I just,
easy.
I lived through
Agree.
the
And if
putting
you
the
don't want to
signs
do it,
on
you
the,
don't want to do it.
it just takes a long time in this town, so.
Oh,
Okay, do you want
it's
to
been when I turned this in.
spend a
was
year
a year
already?
ago.
I know,
Right.
I know.
At that point, we
Yeah.
still knew we needed to have a meeting with
Yeah.
Elena
Yeah.
and Dom
Yeah.
to move
Mhm.
forward with
Who's
this at
Elena?
all.
Yeah.
So
But I sent this same information to the daughter of a friend of mine who's on an arts council in
Mhm.
Missouri. And they already have their submissions for their poems in,
Yeah,
and they're ready to put them up next.
I
spring.
hear you.
So.
I hear you.
Well, but anyway,
Well, yeah, you need. the-
maybe I won't be a good person to convey this. to
You,
other
you need
people.
this,
I don't
you
know.
just need the city. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like you need to start with,
we've said this before, that we
mhm.
need to have this approved by
Yeah.
the city. If you
Yeah,
would like
yeah.
to be the leader of this subcommittee, call Elena,
Yeah,
make
I
a
will,
meeting,
I will. I
get
will-
it
I will
approved, get
do
it on the
when-
city
yeah,
council
if-
agenda.
if We're authorizing. it,
oh,
I'll be
yeah,
happy
right.
to
It
do
has to
that,
get on
yeah.
the agenda. You can't just show up at
Yeah, I
the
know, I
meeting.
understand that. I understand that, yeah.
That's
Okay,
the
yeah,
holdup.
yeah,
That's been
okay,
the holdup
okay.
this whole time.
Except we never authorized anything in the past. I brought this in and we said we're gonna talk about it at this meeting next.
And
Oh, right.
I'm taking
Well.
notes on sort of these things that we're chatting about. So I'll email that out to
Okay.
three of you also.
Let me look at the last point here and that'll get us to the next page too. Submissions have to have a cover letter, identify the writer, the title of the poems. They can include up to 5 poems. That's pretty standard for most contests and publications. The poems I put should be no longer than 20 lines and have no more than 35 characters per line. Mankato said 16 and 40 characters. And I just counted mine is 1, 2, 3, 4, is 12. But if you count the spaces in between stanzas of lines, it's right at 16. I don't know if it looks crowded or if that looks like a good, we can,
Trust your judgment on that one.
okay. Um, We can do smaller print or less.
Well, this
spaces
is
or
helpful
something.
also for a call for the graphic designer for it, because then we can see what people say too. If they're like, oh my gosh, you can't put 16
Yeah,
lines, it's
20,
impossible to
yeah.
fit, you know, then maybe that's why we pick them or don't pick them
Yeah,
too.
when I talked with the Mankato people about this, they said they had some people who submitted things that didn't quite fit.
Mhm.
And they wrote back and said, you'll need to edit this or change it, and most of them didn't. And they said, well, you can redo it and submit it next year if
Right.
you wish to. I'm asking that, right, and the idea of this is that we can print off the poems and just put a code number of some kind on it, so the judge doesn't know the names of any of the authors.
Smart.
I'll have to admit, part of that is because I want to submit some things.
There you go.
I have a few poems I've written since I moved here that I want to include, and so everything would be anonymous, even though a writer who knows other writers in the area might be able to discern certain writers, but
Can I ask then if and I have no idea, it seems a little weird that only one person would judge it.
We talked in the past about inviting also like Emily Moon
Yeah, Emily.
back to judge. And then maybe like one other person. It might be nice if we're gonna pay a judge to have the judge prep all the poems and then have
Okay.
have a separate group of people review it and have the judge just give recommendations. Have the judge
Who's
kind of facilitate the
judging?
process.
We talked about Chelsea.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's right when I walked in from.
It
Saturday.
feels like that's a lot of steps. It feels like it'd be relatively simple for somebody to cross out identifying information and
Okay.
like put a thing on there.
I'm totally willing to pick up the mail
Yeah.
and
Like, do the
prep
thing?
those
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
when we're at
yeah,
that point.
all you have to do is just write a letter on each of the five
Yeah.
poems by each person. That's easy to do.
Cool.
The role of the judge could have one person who makes a recommendation to the subcommittee to choose. We could just say the judge can pick 10 and we'll go with that, or
I would think it'd be, you want more than one judge, though.
That's what I was thinking. Like,
Yeah.
what if we had Chelsea and Emily, and between the two of them, they picked
Yeah.
And if they're just reviewing them and picking them, I mean, we could have like.
They're just winnowing.
Everybody, or like both of them get $50 or something to judge or something.
Yeah,
if
for
they're
their
just-
time and
yeah,
effort.
depending, yeah. when
Yeah.
they come in, yeah. I would say 50 to 100, yeah.
Mhm.
something like that. Okay,
Okay.
so we'll look for 2 judges then at least.
So, I think we're gonna need, from the conversations that we're having, it feels like 2 really big important things needs to happen before we put a timeline or a call out.
Okay, yeah,
And that is,
that's,
you're meeting with the city and getting a competitive bid.
I need to give a draft of what we're going to give to the city, to this group, I think.
No.
I mean,
But it not-
this is it.
It's much more informal.
We've talked about this
Okay.
enough. We're all in support of this proposal. We just
Mhm.
need the city's approval
Okay,
to take it to city council and get this budget request that's not in our current budget approved. Because we don't want to wait until the next budget cycle, because
yeah.
that would put us
Yep.
to July
Mhm.
2025. We want to start this
think it-
January. So we're
think-
asking them for this amount of money in this budget cycle, which we haven't budgeted for.
okay,
But Dave, I think like, I know you're feeling like you want to come in with something solid. I think you could just say these things that we will have 10, we will have a judge,
Mhm.
we will
Okay.
have them in public locations. This is our cost. Like, those are really the things that you need in a proposal you kind of already have here.
okay.
I was gonna say,
Like,
yeah.
this is pretty thorough, and I
Yeah.
think
Okay.
that it's very presentable.
And especially
I
if
think
you've
it's just making the appointment.
especially if you've talked to Public Works at that point, if you're able to do that beforehand, to say Public Works has agreed to install this, or they've said that it's within these parameters or something like that's probably a question that they would ask.
Okay, let me just
And if
check.
Deborah has the targets.
I've got a
you
list
got it,
of.
He's got it.
Then just,
Yeah.
sites
he's
that
ready to
we've
go.
discussed In previous meetings
good.
that we can give to Elena and Don and say, these are all the sites that we're looking at. You know, we'll go with the
Mhm.
ones that are most feasible and easiest to do for our first 10.
Do you guys want to divide and conquer, and maybe you, with what you know, talk to Public Works and get their buy-in, and then he talks with
The city.
the city? Since you have the
I mean,
sites.
I think
li-
this is all, yeah, this is
Oh,
all.
okay.
Don and Elena. and
Oh,
Nick,
okay.
Both to meet at one time.
There you
Well,
go.
or,
easy.
you know, that's also part
Right.
of their job as the city is to coordinate and sort of circle all the wagons, you know what I mean? I don't think that that's
Well, he'll show up to a meeting.
done.
We just
Yeah,
have to
Don's a
give him a
great
call.
Yeah.
So I think.
But I
we
mean,
have to leave
Sadie
that
can
meeting.
also
Dave,
contact.
you're looking like you want to check a couple things.
I've got a couple more things I want to run through. I'm sorry about that.
Mhm.
That's
uh,
okay. I think we all just need, that's the holdup is having that meeting.
Yeah.
So I think that like as soon as possible, let's have that meeting.
Get on. They should just write, submitters should describe their connections to Estacada, Clackamas County, Oregon. Do we want to make that an eliminating quality or just the preference along the line, or using that to kind of discourage people who aren't connected to submit?
I mean, what would you guys consider the greater Estacada area? Because that's the other thing too, is like
Mhm.
the people that have Estacada on their postal address are probably 25 to 30,000 people, whereas the city itself is 6,000. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
I would consider myself to be from Estacada, and I'm unincorporated Clackamas County technically.
I think if we want to encourage a lot of submissions that we
Mhm.
say Clackamas County.
Yeah.
I don't know why it needs to be super specific to Estacada. That might be very limiting in terms of.
You
like,
could
how many
do
people are actually
Estacada
going to-
or Clackamas, like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
it just
because
needs to
also
be.
like, if you're
tweaked.
gonna do a call out to artists to Clackamas County Arts Alliance, that is
Well-
going to go out to people that are
That's-
not in Estacada.
that's
And
a good
also
reach.
because like, yeah, the people that live way upriver, you know, might live 20 minutes from Estacada, but this is where they're coming, you know, to shop
Yeah.
and go to, probably their kids going to school and, you know, so
Yeah, I think saying Estacada area,
Estacada area
you know,
or
or
Clackamas.
Clackamas County,
I mean, yeah,
then we're saying like, we're doing this in Estacada. We want to prioritize Estacada, but it's open. And then we can see what we get. Because what we might end up with is like 50 applicants from the town of Clackamas and then one person from Estacada. And then that's what we get for the first year, you know?
Okay.
Or we might get all people.
well, and
from-
also I think we
Green.
should extend this obviously to the school kids as well.
Yeah.
Well, don't you think that could be a conversation that like, that Deborah is gonna go pick up this mail, she can just do a quick review and be like, okay, these are our submissions.
Mhm.
Do we need to do a priority of Estacada or not? I feel like this conversation is a little bit moot until we actually have the submissions.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we can always do a push in the final week, like, hey, we have 49 applicants and only one of them's from Estacada. How do we get more from Estacada this week?
So I think it's like the scope can be Clackamas County and then based on the submissions, we can make that call a little later down the line.
That next line, I've kind of scratched out about previously published works. The Mankato people didn't care. For me, it raises issues about copyright, which could be a nuisance. We're not doing it for financial gain, so we can probably do it. But I think I'll just drop that and not mention it. Just
Right,
say
the
original
concern
works.
is if people have published
Yeah.
their works previously.
Yeah,
I don't think
and then the
anyone's.
last one is people under 18 must include age and indicate parental approval.
Mhm.
And what I heard from Mankato is they said most of the adolescent writers, 18 or under, and I think we have to make that distinction,
Mhm.
that 18, that they were submitted by mostly teachers,
Okay,
and they did require parental contact before they printed them. And I think we need to really reach out to young people,
Mhm.
but we also can't put a young person's poem up without the parental permission, as I understand things. So that was it. I have a samples ad that I thought would work. It has to make some changes. And there's a description. The description I should have started with 20 for durable display in Estacada City public spaces and suitable for public display for readers of all ages. I don't know how much detail I should go into, but we can discuss that later. If we're talking about timeline down at the bottom, I'm thinking that if we can get all of our support things arranged this fall, we could start soliciting work in January.
Mhm.
Very
And
good.
maybe January to March 1st or the end of March. And then we would have things ready to post springtime in other places.
Yeah, you would think that as long as all of the different sort of components are organized, that the installation really isn't a huge undertaking.
No.
That should be a pretty quick turnaround.
Yeah.
once we have
So let's make
everything
sure that we address that timeline in January or maybe in December.
else,
Um,
Yeah, at the December meeting, we could figure out, okay,
Yeah.
all our ducks are in a row. We were good. We did all these preliminary meetings. Now
yeah,
we can
goal
send
by
our call out.
December, We need a really specific competitive quote and like the city says, okay, we've got this, we've got them, try to have the money and the conversations with the city done by December, and then the real proposals can go out starting January.
Well,
Mhm.
and when do we do the call for artists?
January.
January.
January, okay,
do both of them at the same time. I
okay.
think.
Yeah, so yeah, we need poets and we need a graphic designer to design the signs.
All right. Ready,
Okay,
set,
I
go.
will take a clean photo
right.
of this to the city. And I'll
And
probably-
Dave, I did write down those.
And those women are
Like-
extremely helpful and very.
Do it. Believe in us.
And
It's gonna
I wrote
happen.
down those things that we said we need to do those things. I will summarize that conversation and send it to the three of you
Oh, okay,
so that we can make sure, so you have all the names of the people you need to talk to.
okay.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Phew.
Thank you for your patience.
Now, I think we're all ready to go, but the city had, like, the city meeting has gotta happen.
Mhm.
So, okay. Final, but is gonna take a lot of time piece, is our, what we're committing to in 2025. And this is also a big picture conversation around, like what our goals are as a committee, what we feel like we have the bandwidth to do. I know that I'm just gonna summarize the conversation you and I had. Like, so like a year and a half ago, when like me and Dave and Mike all joined and Deborah was been here, that we really didn't have any big events. Like there was the one art crawl, and then the commission was really focused on doing the Estacada Creates, doing the really, I mean, at that time, it was like a 1-a-month workshop. Last year, we scaled up Arts at the Creek, we scaled up the summer passport and some other things, and we scaled down on the workshops. We need to sort of think going forward about what we have the bandwidth to do as a group and where we want our focus to be. So we know that like Arts at the Creek has become sort of a big thing. We're doing like the summer passport, which I think has this benefit of reaching a huge number of people in a more passive way that doesn't require a huge amount of work. Like that's going to be a plug and play and then be better at promoting it next year. So we need to think as a group about what we want to do in terms of commitments. And so the things I have already that we know we're doing, the poetry in public places. We have the art in the park, which I presume we want to continue doing. That's not a huge commitment. It's pretty doable. It's popular and fun. The Estacada Summer Passport, which like I said, pretty plug and play for next year. Arts at the Creek. The Chalk Walk and the 4th of July Parade, I think did huge for our, I mean, we all know it was a tiny train wreck, but it was also like, we were visible and that was awesome. I think that's really important that we do a parade float again next year. We just do it better and like unpackage the chalk. So like those are some of the big things that we did that we kind of, I think we all feel good about doing again. We need to talk about who's doing what, and if we are going to do some of those Estacada Creates workshops, we need to think about, do we want to do them? My thought is a lot about like amount of work and effort that goes into them, and we have to do this balance about how many community members we're reaching and what is the purpose and what we are serving by doing those workshops. And remembering that the reason we were able to do those workshops previously was because we had this like funding from the grants, which we don't necessarily have for sure anymore. We do still have materials for like collage and painting, those were our biggest sells. The writing one's pretty plug and play if you're doing it with the library. So I just want to throw out this general conversation and see what you guys feel. We need to have a balance between making sure we don't burn out and we're doing things that are sustainable. And sort of like Bev had said before, is that we need to do things that have this like big reach where we're not just event planning all year and having, 8 to 10 people showing up. How much work is going into that? What's the reach? What's the purpose?
Well,
Talk amongst yourselves.
So-
What do you think?
And just a couple thoughts that came up. As far as like larger scale public reach, I think that that's directly proportionate to seasons. Okay, so like weather permitting is generally a big barrier for people to either participate or not. So maybe we can focus more on like good weather events, the arts of the grid, like the short list of what you've already put here. And then rather than trying to do these Estacada Creates events where you're having 5 to 10 people participate and it takes 2 weeks and there's all this effort and it doesn't really pan out, maybe we shift focus a little bit more as a group towards the installation factor, which isn't taking so much effort to organize volunteers and humans. It's more just about, like Dave's project is just going to take some detail work and some funding and some.
And all those things, it's like this much work, but then the payout is pretty big, like the
Right.
reach is pretty big.
Right.
It's like the Estacada, like the passport. The work is small, but the reach is big.
Right, and
And
that's what
the-
the Arts Commission
The
has been
workshop
known
is like
for.
the work is big and the
Right,
payoff is really
right.
pretty small.
So I would say one purpose of that serves that we're not serving elsewhere is that it's a free creative workshop. However, I would rather see the energy put into liaising with different organizations who do offer free workshops. Like the library has a lot of great stuff going on, and I'd like to spend my effort like figuring out what those are and regularly reporting back and helping market those and drawing people to other organizations' free events. If the school is running something that's free for the community, if Parks and Rec is running like Arts at the Creek or whatever, like these things that people can participate in that serve that purpose, but then using our effort to promote other people's activities rather than trying to create our own, I think would be a better use of our time, because like we just don't have the manpower to put on these workshops, but a lot of organizations around town are. Sometimes I find out about them too late and I'd rather use my time like trying to figure out what those are and getting the word out and increasing other people's activities rather than like, I'm excited about doing this workshop. It's gonna be really fun, but it's taking more bandwidth even than, even though I did it last year, even though it's just like bringing some stuff, like it takes a lot of mental energy.
I agree with trying to get the exposure for
Mhm.
less work. But I think with our mission, which was the spark that inspires, facilitates, and promotes arts and culture for our community and its artists, I think we can also help we mentioned this a couple times, the liaison or the, what's someone who used to create dates for people, like do you remember the matchmaker? Okay,
Mhm.
there we go. Be the matchmaker for
Yeah.
the community to learn about its local artists. So we sponsor, arrange, or connect maybe a local musician, songwriter, and the venues can change, be it at the Casadero or Time Travelers or someplace else, but it's put on by us to introduce the community, be it at the library or somewhere else, to a local watercolor artist or craftsperson, that we are the facilitator to promote different artists and the definition of arts in the area, which would put very little work on our backs and would let the artists really carry the weight of their presentation.
I just had an idea. So back in the day, we used to have this community art summit like every 3 to 5 years. And the last one we did, I think, was like 2019, maybe. And so back in the day, it was all the different community organizations, and then we'd have a think tank about what do we see as the arts. We made a plan, and then the plan always fell through. I don't think we ever did anything about it. But I was just thinking it would be really fun to organize like a speed dating event
Yes.
where everybody just like shows up on a Saturday here, and we have all the organizations that are like, hey, we really want to do an arts thing, and invite artists and be like, okay, you guys over here, you guys over here, we're gonna like organize the tables, you have 5 minutes and then switch. Like it could be a 3-hour event. I don't know. That's something that I would love to be involved in the planning of that. I mean, just thinking in terms of timeline, we're probably looking at like next summer or something. You know, it's not something that would happen quickly, or even next fall. But I think that would be a fun way to like. I mean, I just think like if we're
Get
not
everybody in the
organizing the
same room.
events and we're putting people like, I want art, I want to do art together,
Yeah,
like
putting
put
people-
the-
Networking
yeah,
but
rather
that-
than.
if we're saying that conversation is gonna happen like later into next year, could we say that one of our big goals can be that we try to be promoting things that are already happening in the
Mhm.
first 6 months of next year? So that's like reaching out to the Cazadero and being like, hey, when you have a musician playing, let us know. We'll promote it on our Facebook page. If you have like painting with April, yeah, it costs money,
Mhm.
but are you doing a creative thing? Let us promote that on our page. Like
Mhm.
maybe we could do a little bit more of like, we're pulling back on the workshop and we're just promoting people.
Yeah.
Right.
And just doing some sort of like going around town and saying like, hey, shoot us an email when you have something going on and we'll promote it on our page.
I love
And I
that.
think there's a little bit of there's the one piece of that that can be a challenge is that we're only allowed to promote certain things on our Facebook page. So I'll have to do some, because about the ethical, like we're not supposed to be promoting other people's businesses or something,
Yeah,
right?
that's the
So
only issue I could think of is like,
that might be a question for Elena about like,
it's like, people are gonna be like, why are you promoting, like, you're making money for Cherry at the Casdero? It's like, you're
Yeah.
supposed to be doing city.
but that, could that
Stuff.
be something that like, maybe it's not on the Facebook page, but we're like sending out, like, I did that one time, I did that newsletter, remember? Remember I did that one thing? One time I did that. But like, could we send it out in a newsletter if it's not on Facebook? Like, what can we do? I guess my question is, what can we do ethically to do that promotion?
I think,
Because there is some stuff about that where we're not supposed to be promoting businesses.
so
I think, like-
ethically, what you could do is you promote the artist. You
Right.
say, John Smith, featured artist, John Smith plays the blues, you know, and then he had like, here's his website to see his upcoming shows in September. And it's like, you don't mention the business. You don't say he's playing September 13th at Cazadero, but you say, you know, John Smith has a September calendar, go look it up. He plays this or whatever, right?
Honestly, I think if he's playing at Cazadero and we're promoting John Smith, we can say, come, you know, John Smith is performing in Estacada. He'll be at the Cazadero September 13th. Like, to me, that's promoting the artist. That's just the venue.
I
And it
think there just
doesn't
needs-
seem,
There might be like a tiny bit of clarification.
think so,
Yeah,
yeah.
Deborah, are you doing the little
I'm-
recon on that?
Or Alex could let us.
I'm looking, I need to make
Sure.
sure I'm looking at the most recent,
Because for me, I
think,
feel like if we do
bylaws.
these couple, and I'm gonna bring us back to what this is really about, is about our events and commitments.
right.
If we could commit to the piece about doing more promotion of things that
Mhm.
are already happening, and then maybe pin like that kind of brainstorming event to match people up. Like, then can we take a step out of doing workshops next year?
I mean,
Are we okay with saying that like, we're not gonna do the workshops at all?
Like
but
our
it could be-
Estacada creates.
Yeah, but we could, like,
For a
maybe
year.
we close the book on that for a minute, but if we could do like a post or a call on our Facebook page for people like, I know Jane, Chicken Lady, like she's been really wanting to put on a workshop and be like,
Mm.
if you're interested
Like
in
a
running
cooking
a
thing?
workshop, we would love to support you
Mhm.
and like reach out to us if you're interested in that.
So, I mean, do we have Estacada Creates people who are banging down our doors right now? Because like,
No.
if Maddie's expecting to do a painting one,
No.
like,
She only
Right.
did that to cover us. I'm thinking Jane, because she came to a workshop and then she asked like, could I maybe lead a workshop one time because she's really great at landscapes. I have like one
Oh.
person in mind, but like, that's just, we brought Maddie in because she was covering us,
Right.
and literally no one wanted to
That's
lead
what I'm
one.
saying. Like, if maybe we should check with Chelsea, see if she wants to do the collage one and she's got it on her calendar. I wouldn't want to like shut
Yeah,
it down if
delegate.
she's already put it on. But like, I'm doing this because it was on the calendar last year,
When
not
is-
because
when is
like
the collage one?
May.
Oh, yeah, that's a good
So
chunk
that's
of
what I mean,
time
like, we
away.
could do it a little bit of our own call and say, are you a local artist? Are you interested in putting on a workshop? We'd love to help support you. Reach out if you'd like.
Yeah.
And then that might only, or we're casting a tiny net. We don't want a huge net. We don't want to be putting on a ton of workshops, but if like Jane reaches out and she really wants to do landscaping,
Mhm.
we can be like, all right, we can help cover some costs for maybe some canvases, and we can do a 15-person workshop. We can promote it for you, and then she can do the logistics of coming and setting up and leading the workshop.
Like
So I'm just thinking
having,
about how can
having
we do it
people reach
tiny?
out to us instead of us saying, we're doing a workshop. Now we have to find the artist.
Yeah.
Because
to
that
do
has
it.
been how it is.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
for me, the painting and the collage have been the ones that have had great attendance. Like
Mhm.
those have been popular workshops. We're reaching like a bigger number of people. But it is like, we had to like drag Maddie in
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
beg for her help. But
Yeah.
like Jane has reached out and said like, I would love to do a workshop if you're interested. And she's offered to do it for free.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
Because this is a change of direction, which I agree with, but it doesn't have to be all or nothing. So I agree with.
that's
could-
what I'm thinking, like that in between.
Yeah,
where you do
so,
it.
Mhm.
so do like the 1 or 2 or 3 workshops that have been successful, fine. And then focus on, because your liaison, or recommending it is falling in 2 areas. One is promoting events or artists who are already scheduled, and we
Mhm.
promote them. The other one is if there is an artist who would like to, be it music or poetry, whatever, we could give them help them coordinate and find them a platform sponsored by the Arts Commission, but they carry the weight of it. You know,
That's
I'll
kind of
have,
what I'm saying is like,
yeah.
you put a call out, if you're
Mhm.
That's right.
interested,
And
then
so-
we'll support you.
so those are 2 things, and that's organic. And we're not going to commit to like 6 of them because we don't know yet. Let that
Just
grow.
Toss it out there.
Yeah.
There might be somebody who's really passionate about something and wants to like bring something up.
and
And
then,
then we can.
and
support
then
you.
maybe we could coordinate like, okay, well, pick your date and then we can get the Wade Creek room for you
Correct.
type of a thing. And
I would
like,
say let's put some parameters too about like, we need 2 months lead time or we need 3
For
months
sure.
lead time,
Yeah.
and just set that out there of like,
I'm thinking literally like something we could put out this fall and say like, hey, the Arts Commission is looking at 2025 and wondering who we can support. So like, if you're
Absolutely.
interested in putting on a workshop sometime next year, be it music, art, writing, reach out to us.
Mhm.
And just literally like, it doesn't have to be this huge push where we're asking the world and like, da, 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 but
And
it's
it
a little
doesn't-
push.
and it doesn't have to be super specific because someone could come in with some crazy pie in the sky and we could say, oh, I don't know if that's gonna work.
Or like,
And then
that
someone
could
can
work.
come up
Do you
with
have the
something,
finances to help?
you
If
know,
we have a
that we
small-
could do. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, we don't have to take every submission and be like, okay, now we have to make this, you know,
And
we
honestly,
can pick and
I
choose.
don't think particularly doing this is gonna like have a whole lot of submissions. There might be 1, there might be 2,
Yeah,
there might be
I
none at
agree.
all. And I think that's okay. I think the community out there, the 10 people we've reached or the 20 people we've reached over our last 24 workshops are not like biting at the, like they're not chomping at the bit waiting for the next one. I think it's okay for us to take a beat on that and focus on the other few things that we're doing.
Mhm.
If you guys agree with that, I would love to go through what we have on our thing and see who can have the bandwidth for these things.
I agree.
I have 2 thoughts on that. One is we have 4 really big projects going on, arts in
There's
the.
more than 4.
yeah. Well, I think of 4, the Arts in the Park, the Poetry in Public Places, the 120th anniversary, and checking out the funding for the art
Like, we have-
establishment. Those are
big.
huge I mean, not huge, but for us, they're very time consuming. And it's much easier to promote an individual project from time to time. If you're trying to have a series of projects going, you need to have a particular place, a particular time, a sequence of events. And I really like the things we've done and enjoyed them. I've been to several. But I think to keep a series going is probably more than we can do right now. So I'm putting in to agree with what you're
Great.
what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate that. Can we go through a couple of these things and just make sure we have
Yeah.
point people?
Let's do chronological. Let's just start with
Um,
what's coming up.
so I have poetry. We already have our 3 people for
That's
that.
done.
Art in the park. Alicia is gonna run that and she's got an in-house connection with parks.
Sweet.
My big suggestion with that would be to be, let's schedule it earlier because they were pushing it off so late, there was no time to promote. And then Isabella, can I put you on that to talk to Alicia to help promote that? That's the kid one in the park.
So, and for art at the park or art in the park, I'm just going to have a simple booth doing a simple get the button maker or what have you.
Mhm. I
Um,
brought a button maker and a table and we painted.
yeah,
Yep.
And I brought it all and set it up. There were parks people for the first time at that event in many moons. Parks people actually showed up and like Dave was there, where there were like a lot of people there.
Yeah.
But I'm the one that brought all the stuff and
so
So,
I can do button. I would
bring the
like, you know, to have another commissioner or someone with me so I can go pee. But
again,
or get a
this
snack
is
or
not-
tend to my kiddos, you know,
And-
but it is only a 2-hour thing. It's
And
not an all day
it's
thing.
not a just us thing.
Yeah, no, we have a booth at someone else's event. We're at a
You-
park.
I have requested because it basically was us putting it on.
No, we are
That we
not
say this
putting
is,
it on.
it's co-sponsor, we're co-sponsoring it with the Parks Commission.
Yeah, no, we.
They don't really have
simply-
their act together when it comes to like promoting it and getting like a Google form.
We need a date
Um,
set in stone because last year it
It
was like
3 weeks
April.
before.
And
It's 3 weeks.
I would have been there to help, except that when I found out the date, then we had a roller derby out. So
When is, okay, so
So I
I,
would reach.
Yeah.
I
talk
can
to them.
go to, or I can put a bug in the ear of my husband who's on the commission and just be like, can you please put on your agenda, pick a flippin' date?
Put stuff on the city calendar.
yeah.
Cause like.
Oh, yeah.
I scheduled a story time that morning because I was like, oh, there's no Halloween event. 2
Oh.
minutes later, oh, do you guys want to be involved in trick or treat? So yeah, ask them to use the city calendar.
Yeah.
Once They
Yeah.
plan on an event.
I'll be
It'd be super helpful.
And we
That's
can,
a
we should
rare-
push that out.
Yeah, no, that's
it out.
Otherwise,
It's only 2
if they
hours.
can
I
push
know.
it out as far as possible, just for better weather,
push what out?
just the date. If the date's flexible,
End of May.
I mean, the further.
May is usually good, but we have to be
You'll need-
cognizant of May
Can we-
break.
Can we pin
From schools,
scheduling
but-
that? Because it's many months away and it needs to be coordinated with parks.
Mhm.
Cause that also, it has to do with their events and school events and Mother's Day and their spring run. Like
Mhm.
that's a conversation that needs to happen outside of here. Um,
And their run is now a 5K, like it's like an official run with an official route.
so that's because again, art
So-
in the park, it's like, that's something we need to talk to them about.
Yeah,
But we just want to make sure like we get at least 2 months lead time on that so that we can actually promote it and get more people there and promote it more widely to the community. So I have Alicia on that. Isabella can help with that, right? You can still have a booth there. But to help with the promotion piece.
mm-hmm.
And like she's already talked to the art teacher, is it, what's wrong? Packard. About promoting that. So poetry, art in the park, the Estacada summer passport. It's my file, so I'm happy to update that. And then maybe that would be a really quick, in a commission meeting, brainstorm about what to put on it. So
I feel like we had so few submissions last year. Why don't we use the same one? Does it have to change?
well, it just needs to be updated. And
Oh,
I think,
okay.
I think it could use a review, but again, I don't think we need to talk about that now.
Okay,
I'm just saying, I don't think, that's a pretty simple project.
yeah,
I'm happy to like edit it and then we can figure out how to promote it then. I don't think we need like lots of people signed up to do that one.
okay.
Cause it will be simple, but we can update it that in the spring when we have better idea of like what's happening. So I'll put myself on that. Arts at the Creek, we already have Jesse, Mike and Alicia to work on that. The Chalk Walk and the 4th of July Parade. That's really ordering chalk and doing Mike's truck. So Mike, you might have to be on that one.
Yeah, I'm absolutely happy to. And we could get the trailer going next year too, so it's a little bit more comfortable. So maybe we're not I mean, I know hiking up and down the hill and the heat was bullshit, so,
And then Deborah, can I put you on as just because you're helping order chalk?
Yes. I will
she's
still
the
do
chalk
that.
plug.
So are we? The chalk thing. It was, are we thinking of now giving out single pieces of chalk?
We are thinking now about who will think about that later.
Oh, okay.
Are there smaller chalk
Cause yeah, that,
containers available?
Was the smaller chalk containers.
Oh, cause I don't even know if I recall what, I thought they were
We
like,
talked about ordering the big
couple-
ones and dumping them out and handing out single pieces of chalk because there are hundreds and hundreds of children.
yeah,
we
and
need
all
to
of our
just
chalk was
a
gone in
single
the
piece of
first
chalk is
third
great.
of the
keep them
parade.
pumped about a single piece of
Yeah,
chalk.
it's good.
But we don't need to make plans about that right now. We're just thinking about who's gonna think about it next year.
Okay.
So Deborah's kind of de facto because you're with the library and we'll order the chalk and we will just commit to that. We'll need to promote it a little better
is
next
that
year. and do
something
our
that's in the
thing.
library budget, or that's something that's in our budget? or-
It's a 50-50 in the library budget. It's part of my summer reading, just as an outreach activity that the library does.
Okay, so we don't need to include the chalk in our annual budget
oh, yeah,
request?
It's in our budget.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
I mean, as
I'm
long
sorry.
as you're gonna approve next year for sharing that expense.
Yep.
And if you guys approve to not share that expense, that's totally okay too.
I think it
we
works
just
well with
keep it
our
as
4th of
is.
July and promoting ourselves.
Just
And it was great to do it with the library, like with the bookmobile. That was just like a fun united front thing. to
I
do.
know that there was a little pushback on this idea last year, or maybe I just brought it up afterwards, but I think we should hand out the summer passport also.
It's a good idea.
And you're like, I think I was talking to you about it, where you're like, it's just gonna be a lot of paper, a lot of junk, people are just gonna leave it. But I think we, let's have, some people are handing out chalk, some people are handing out passport, and it can be adults handing it out, so it's not a kid, my kid, just throwing them around. It can be an intentional thing to see families lined up on the sidewalk and say, do you have a summer passport yet? It's only July, or, it's only 4th of July. We got a good 2 months of summer
Could
going.
we print a sign to put on the truck? That's a Q, whatever code.
No, people aren't gonna queue our truck going by, but we could put a sign up saying, make sure to do your summer passport or
Right,
something
right.
like that, with like a mocked up, like cartoony
Advertising,
version of the
yeah.
passport.
make a basic banner, get your summer passport. at
Yeah,
these
don't forget,
locations, boom,
yeah.
Boom, boom. Add a spot to slap on a sticker of what the current year's front of it looks like.
Yeah, I
Yep.
mean, I think a better move for advertising everything, the Arts in the Creek and the passport, is gonna be to make the trailer like seating and then have the signs going down the length of the trailer so that, it's just like the whole thing was a little awkward and like where are the signs sat?
We also, I mean, the reality I think is for next year for Arts at the Creek and our general move that we're going and doing these bigger things is we are going to be, and maybe we can talk about it in February, we are going to need to be making a sign order.
Right.
Where the big thing with Arts at the Creek is we need some like signs on the road, we need signs here, we need signs.
Oh yeah,
there, we
like
need some
people's yard
signs.
sale signs, like we need little A boards
But
that we
like-
can
like
put on
This
corners
studio,
with an arrow.
well, like open studios in Damascus, like they have all these signs that are
Mhm.
like along the curves and like we need to do a sign
seen those
order.
signs.
So we could do one with just our logo. We could do one with the summer passport. We have a little extra money. I mean, extra, it's not really extra, but like money, we're not broke. So I think we need to do that promotion piece.
Yep.
And
agree.
do some sign action. So then we can factor in when we do that sign action, we can factor in like, okay, if we're putting it on the truck, what size and
Do we
could we
want
do on the truck and then take it
a
from the truck and put
magnetic
it somewhere
sign?
else?
Good. I mean, I think that all I have to do is screw a wooden frame into the bed of the truck or bed of the trailer. So that's not anything more than a handful of 2x4s. It's gonna
Okay.
be more rigid than the PVC thing that we did
Mhm.
or whatever, but just a little bit of foresight with this kind of presentation and advertising piece will go the distance for us.
Oh,
Like if we create that space so that, Bev doesn't have to try and get in and out of the truck or whatever, she can get just a little bit more
Yeah.
ergonomic or something, you
Bringing
know
my
what I
own
mean?
ladder.
Well, right, and then the trailer hopefully is moving slow enough that if kids want to approach and like be handed chalk rather, I don't, whatever, we can talk about the
So
mechanics of it.
I just want to throw out this idea. I don't know how feasible it is, but I know you're tired of me hearing me say back in the day, but back in the day, when we had summer celebration, we also had a kazoo band that marched in the 4th of July. Everybody wore tie-dye and they had kazoos made out of odd things. So somebody, I think Jerry Erickson had a plunger kazoo. Anyway, like the older members of Estacada who used to be involved in summer celebration, that was like a big thing. Jerry Polson is another one, but anyway, it's a relatively like low bar to buy a box of kazoos and have everybody
Do we
like
want to
kazoo.
Why
um,
don't-
bring the kazoo band back to life?
I was gonna say, you still have contact, you still have,
I'll ask
like at least
around.
in your mind,
Yeah.
sort of the,
Reinvoking that.
the
again,
basic 10
right.
person.
Yeah,
And like shoot an email out to them and say, hey, y'all wanna
I
do
don't
the
know that
kazoo
any
band
of them
again?
have.
I mean, they
email,
could all say
but
no.
I'll
That's fine.
I'll
If they
show
say
up
no.
at coffee on a Friday at 4
There you
and
go.
say who wants to do the kazoo band this year. I just, in terms of like, we're talking about a lot of visuals and it was a really fun audio thing. And also I was remembering pushing my daughter's stroller up that hill and I'm really grateful for the idea of a trailer because we were like blowing at kazoo and like trying to hike up the hill,
No.
but whatever. Anyway,
I
So-
just think it's a fun thing. We want to be present. I think a piece of our commission making a name for itself is presence at other events. So it's like the
Mhm.
Christmas tree lighting. If we're at the 4th of July, if we can coordinate a way to sort of like be there for like a quarter of Oktoberfest, coordinating with the Parks and Rec, it would be really great for us, I think, to continue this move of like co-sponsoring and being a presence at someone else's event. Like this is
Mhm.
gonna take our bandwidth. It will preserve our own bandwidth for our few big projects, but it will increase our presence and people's knowledge and awareness that we exist and
Well,
that we are doing these other things.
and the cool thing about the kazoo band is that it's really memorable because it's so weird if you have a group of people who are in tie-dye just playing songs on kazoo. And like it did make a name for the Arts Commission where people are like, oh, it's the Arts Commission because it's the weird kazoo players. Like, so it could be
Yeah.
fun to bring back.
I love it.
Anyway.
I also think for the summer passport, that could tie in a lot more closely with DEC and the new Economic Development
Mhm.
Commission and Parks and Rec to just get that bug in their ear. And that way the cost of that doesn't all have to go on us because
Good
DEC made tons of those door hangers,
Yeah.
which visually were boring. And we still have stacks of them at the library and people are just like, eh. Whereas the summer passport, even people from out of town who had no relation were like, this is cool.
Mhm.
So I really feel like instead of spending
Making it-
city money doing those two things, make that one thing.
Mhm.
Get all of those commission events that are happening throughout the year, well, or throughout the summer on that summer passport and like
Mhm.
make that more
Do
of a
we-
I
thing.
agree.
Do we
And also,
have
like, come
a
on, tourists,
DEC
like,
liaison?
People take it off their door and it ends up on the floor.
Exactly.
Like, what are you doing with that?
I have an idea. What if we made someone a DEC liaison?
Well, I think that's gonna
Like
be in our,
maybe
yeah, I would love to.
Bev.
I think we all should be.
Since you're
having
already,
some-
you
yeah.
know, working with them for the 120th thing, right?
Yes.
Hey, can I just review briefly what our commitments are? Can I just throw this out?
Yeah.
So I make sure that it's on notes. I'm just gonna review what we just talked about really quick.
Okay.
To make sure I'm not missing anything.
'Kay.
Because I'm trying to stay and then also stay in the conversation.
Yes, sorry.
Write it down.
Yes.
Okay, poetry in public places. We call that like PIP now. We got PIP.
I
We
like
got
that.
art in the park. We got summer passport. We have arts at the creek. We have chalk walk / 4th of July parade. We have the Christmas tree lighting. We have side over here. We have the 1% for art going and the 120th Founder's Day is over here because that's not really us, but have a toe in it. And then a throw out for like maybe a workshop or two if somebody wants to dive in. That's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That sounds
Okay.
good.
And so
Um,
does that mean we're not doing the collage or we are doing the collage?
That means we throw it out there And if Chelsea wants to do it, we support her in doing it.
I mean, I think the first question she's gonna ask is if we can pay her, and if we don't have a grant, we'll have to decide what the answer
But I
is
mean,
to
we
that,
paid her
but-
like $100, but I
Right.
think we have to decide whether or not, yeah, are we paying people to put on workshops?
Right.
Or are we saying if you want to put on a workshop? But if we want to keep it free, we might have to offer a stipend to people.
Right.
Like it could be like, if you're willing to put on a workshop and put the work in, we can give you a stipend for $100, but you're gonna have to help, you're gonna have to do these other pieces.
Yeah, you are showing up and
I'm
opening up
just-
tables
I'm just
and
trying to
and
think
putting
about,
chairs out and bringing your materials and.
I'm
yeah.
just trying to think about like an equitable spread of resources, like if we're offering to pay Chelsea, if Chicken Lady
We have to
comes,
pay her
we want to
too.
pay her too. That just is my thought, so.
Yeah.
My thought is that we don't really,
Like, I'm not getting paid because I'm on the commission. That would be a conflict of interest.
well, like Maddie didn't
But
get
yeah,
paid when
yeah,
she was
yeah.
on it either. But my thought is we kind of throw the call out there and see who comes and then work that out. I don't know if we have to have that predetermined.
I just want to make sure that like, if
Yeah,
we,
If we
if
pay
we
one, we pay
offer,
all.
yeah.
Mhm. I think that's fair. But I think if we put the call out, I don't think we say, we'll pay you $100 if you.
Right.
put on-"
No,
No,
yeah.
no, no.
Cause I do think a
Right.
lot of people probably would say like, oh, I want to do this and not expect to get paid for it. You know what
Well,
I
it's like
mean?
Jane, she just wants to do it because she would love to like try it out and
Mhm.
share what she can do, and she's happy to do it for free.
Mhm.
So yeah, we'll just put the call out and see. That's gonna be like a later date, like when we don't have a lot going on our page in like November, we'll throw out a post or something when there's nothing else. When our page is kind of quiet otherwise. Because
Cool.
it's only 11:30, guys. Do
So-
we need another break? Are we good?
I think, I would like to get, to go back to what I was saying. Can we do we have to do a motion or something? Can we make it official that Bev is our liaison with DEC? So we
I
can,
think we're about to have a conversation
Okay.
about goals
okay,
and that kind of thing.
okay.
Yep.
Cause it would be nice to just have some things set
Mhm.
in stone and not
So
have
why don't
to
we take-
talk about it at every meeting.
Why don't we take like a 10-minute break and then come back? And I have our goals that we came up with before. And I think having read through what you gave us, Bev, I think we really need to start with the goals that we already have, because we do
Yep.
already have some goals.
And then just replace it in
And
there.
I don't think we're even replacing, I think we're fleshing out what's there.
Right.
But I don't know if you read those before. so
And
that's
Bev,
okay.
what are you doing
have-
as an aside on
This
our
is
break?
from our
What are you doing with
last
the 120th thing? I think y'all talked about
Gathering
that.
people to talk about it.
Okay,
figure
so-
it out.
Okay, yeah, 'cause y'all talked about that before I got here.
Flush it out. You
these-
mean
I would
flush
so
these
much
out?
I
or
just-
flush this
5-year-olds
out?
I
kick
wanted to share
ball
with you
into their
what we
hole
came up with
over and
as
over.
a group
Last year.
Golf.
last year.
Okay.
So if you just want to read those, because there's a lot of overlap with.
Has anybody?
Yeah.
used,
We'll just have to edit that and see.
cabs or Ubers? Estacada to get to the airport.
I have never,
Oh.
no. We have a friend that lives by the airport. We drive to her house. We
Yeah.
park our car at her house.
I used to
Yes.
have that, but I don't
And then we take an Uber or a taxi from her house.
I
And
was
she
re-
always lets
I
us use her driveway.
Hated it because people parked at my house all the time, but I actually loved it because I used to see so many
Yeah.
people that I wouldn't necessarily see because they'd swing by and then I'd give them a ride to the airport or whatever. Because I used to be like 5 minutes from the airport.
Well, we'd always get a cab, but she'll open up her garage and be like, yeah, just go in and park and I'll double park
Yeah.
you for the 3 weeks
I
you're
had that
gone or
many
whatever.
hours, but I don't have it here.
Oh, thank you.
I ask my kids to do it, it's 2 hours for them.
Mhm, mhm.
We're so gonna be done by 1. It's gonna be great.
When you leaving?
We're gonna be in it. I love this.
We'll probably
This is great.
fly down to Florida for Christmas,
Oh,
or I mean for Thanksgiving.
This is
so
helping my mental load to feel like we're
mid-November to-
consolidating and.
I think it's gonna,
well, my
we're gonna be
husband just
careful how
got
we
the,
word
the big 90-foot screens
the
in the new
support
terminal.
that you
Oh,
talked
He's
about.
the one that
this
coded
kind of
all
like
those screens with the
liaison.
dynamic
That's the piece that
weather
we need to reach
info
out
and
because there's
stuff
like
like
this
that.
ethical thing that
It's-
like you can promote.
It's
that. And
fantastic.
That's
But I
Alex
was like,
will put that through. So
you
this
know,
is
he
like.
goes
where
to
he
the
gets
airport to
artist-
update them
yeah,
and stuff like that
artist
every so
events
often, so I
already
don't know
scheduled.
if my.
Already
What's this
scheduled.
Radio cab going.
And I think that
There's
it's
a
actually.
radio cab driver that
schedule.
lives out
In
here
this
somewhere,
one is
cause
where I
I
think we
think
need
he
to
lives on
put
Springwater.
art
But,
pieces.
Because
But
we
we
have,
are
this is
getting
about art installation.
Right, sure, I would,
But we also need to support.
yeah,
more
I,
artists.
if,
That needs to be.
Yeah,
do you
that's
have
something
the Uber
different.
app?
Okay, support and temporary.
Because you can open that up and see if anyone's available,
The
because I
artists, that
feel
might be
like
the
as
topic
we're
we wanna talk
growing,
about,
we're
how
getting
we
more
bring
ride
it
share,
up,
and we
like
did have a
promoting
couple
the
local
artists
people that would be like,
And art.
we'll pick up your food for
installations
you,
right here.
like someone.
Yeah,
someone
so
delivers.
I'll
As
try
as I was
today.
reading that, I was like, oh my gosh,
But,
we haven't really told you what we had already.
yeah, I-
So I'm sorry.
So that's
But
okay.
this is-
It took from 2004.
I just want.
So
Well, I remember
what we'll do
when
is
we,
our
when my husband worked
conversation
at Wyden,
today. I
and
will,
we would do stuff out there and try to get. it
what
for
was
back,
and
you
what
know,
we
you
want
know,
to
you
do
know.
Okay.
will have to be changed.
So we never, so we passed it up and down, but that was before we had kids, and now we have to get it out.
I would love to see you take on a project, think it up and see what you could come up with. I think it'd be brilliant.
So did you already talk about the 120-day thing? Oh, you did it.
I did,
Okay.
I did a review of where we're at right now.
Where is it?
Jerry Tenbush with the parks. And their meeting recommended there be a separate committee because it's gonna get.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, he recommended I.
Need its
contact-
own
Yeah,
committee.
Sherry Fox Hames. So I called Sherry, we talked about it. And, I sent her just idea starter sheet that I sent to Jerry Tenbush originally. So here's just some ideas. I'm going to DC next week, and then I'll be back on the 13th. I'm meeting with her on the 14th.
Oh, wow.
Face to face, we're gonna pull together. I'm not looking for super collaborative, but anyway, just to think of here's what I would like to see. That's all. And, start putting together a committee and then coming up with recommendations of A, B, C, different ways to celebrate it this year and where we'd like to go. And, then that can be presented to the different committees, commissions, as well as the city council.
Okay.
And we'll just go for it there. But, we're gonna try to keep it as much as out of the planning.
Your own 120th celebration committee, basically.
Yes,
Yeah.
but it's done as a kind of a worker
Certainly.
committee that's
Sure,
referred
that's
to.
okay.
That's gonna be referred to city hall and stuff, so it's not like it's totally separate, but there's accountability, it's just a think tank outside of the structure of the
Okay.
committee.
Thank you for taking that on. You know what I just read the other day in Spycraft? That one of the things that they teach you is how to look less like an American when you're abroad.
Oh, yeah.
And one things that Americans do that most other people in other countries don't do is lean when they're standing. They lean on one foot or on a thing. And,
very
and in Europe, like East Asia, squatting a lot
Yes,
is a
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
common way if you're waiting for a while. But in Eastern Europe and Western Europe, it's like they they distribute their weight evenly on both feet.
Was I doing that?
No, I was
Oh.
just doing this and I was just like, I had just read that like last night, so.
That
it's fresh in my mind.
validates so many things.
That Americans are
Lean.
leaning.
Yes.
Always
We
leaning
never
and,
stand on our 2 feet.
we don't distribute our weight evenly when we're just standing.
So.
Yeah, we lean on one foot or we lean on a support or whatever.
Back
But
before I
in
found
Europe,
out,
they stand with their.
back before I found out I was autistic, I had a theater professor tell me I looked like an alien because I didn't lean.
Yeah.
And so my mental dialogue since like 2000 is, oh, when you're in a place, look normal, look lean.
No, you're.
And so I'm
you look normal
constantly-
here,
No, right,
but not,
but
yeah.
that's so validating
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I was like always standing like this and he's like, you look like you're from another like
No, you're
planet,
just-
like
you're
look
just
natural, like
using
lean on things.
more-
And so now I'm like, am I leaning
You're
enough?
just
Am I leaning
using
too much? Am
more-
I not like,
Proper posture.
ew.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna write him and be like, Paul Moser.
I'm gonna look at that now. That's not something I ever thought about.
Yeah, there are
And
a
I don't
couple
know if I
different.
can or not.
couple different things on that.
I wiggle too.
But
Yeah,
the leaning is the one thing that I was like, oh yeah, I guess we do lean. And it was like showing all these pictures, like, you know, of you know, Rome or whatever, like a tourist area.
Yeah.
And it's just like a big still photo. And it's like, you look at all the people and like, you can tell all the tourists are all leaning on something, even if they're talking, you know, and then the people that live in Rome
Yeah.
are, you know, standing like this, or they might be talking, you know, but also you don't eat while you're walking at all. Like Americans, you know, be walking down the street eating banana or whatever. You don't eat or drink while you're walking. And there's a couple other things.
This is
With
so
clothing,
validating.
like you don't dress, you dress for the season, not the weather. So in US, we dress for the weather. In most parts of Europe, especially Western Europe, they dress for the season. So it's fall, but it's 80 degrees, but you're still wearing what would be more fall appropriate. So
So
you're
I
not wearing
did
shorts.
this In 80-degree September.
But no, here's the thing. Yes, but no, this would probably be linen. It would be more breathable. You might be wearing trousers and not like something heavier.
I
You
mean,
know
I
what I
would
mean?
legit wear this in 80-degree weather and be like, I'm just in. plain-
Well, so you're dressed for fall right now. You're
Yeah,
dressed for the season, you know, but it's not 80 degrees right now.
Right.
So,
But even if it were, I'm just something on the weather.
but when Americans visit
Yeah.
Europe and it's, you know, 80 degrees in August or whatever, they're, you know, wearing sundresses and stuff, which is appropriate for season. But then if they visit later in the season and
Correct.
it's still hot, they're still wearing shorts and flip flops.
Oh,
And
interesting.
the people and Europeans, you know, are wearing, and I know that's a continent, not a nation, but in general are going to be wearing seasonally appropriate clothes, not weather appropriate.
And I spent quite a bit of time in Argentina, and there it was
So I've been
after
trying not to.
having been there, just watching people in conversations, there's a dance that people from the United States do. For example, our safety zone space is the spacing you have right there. If you're from Argentina, your space would be
Oh,
right
yeah,
there.
totally. Yeah.
So what we would do, and people from the United States would come down, I'd sit and watch because the Argentines would go like this. And then
And
they
then
would
they
back
go.
up.
Totally,
Yes.
yeah.
It's like they're doing the two-step, it's constant, it never stops, and they do it all
Oh, that's funny.
unknowingly. And then also the people from the United States have a smell to them.
Oh, interesting.
And in Argentina, everyone uses the bidet. So every time they do their ball movement, they are clean. We stink.
Interesting.
You can smell us. And after being there for a few months, people in the United States have a scent.
You get,
And it is a,
Oh.
under the table, kind of a joke that you can actually smell people from the United States. And you
Wow.
can, because we don't clean ourselves completely after going to the bathroom. They do.
Huh.
We do have a scent and it is distinguishable.
wow, that's really interesting.
That's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always have we have the bum gun. Both my kids were cloth diaper kids. And so we attached the bum gun on the back of our toilet to wash out diapers. And man, when like the toilet paper shortage hit in COVID, we were like, oh, good.
I did not totally understand when everyone was freaking out. I was like, you could also just jump in the shower, like worst case scenario, we'll all be fine without toilet paper, guys. Like,
Yeah.
it's not gonna be the
Yeah,
end of
and
the
we're-
world. You can still clean your body. Like, that was a weird
It's
thing.
just like, you know.
This that you
it's
have
literally panic
is not
button.
in our
You're
packet,
panicking,
correct?
you're not thinking rationally.
No,
So
you have that.
You cannot apply rational
that is
parameters
so
to it.
Because we had one roll.
Yeah, this is,
I have like
this is just a different
this, like,
format.
those
sample
big
plan.
packages.
Right.
Not a truck.
There are
Yeah,
some
right,
things in here that
yeah.
it must have been
Yeah.
like I don't know what this says.
Oh my
This
God.
is, like,
Process. I'm
average.
sorry, there's,
Yeah.
sorry.
There were
I
several
don't know
chunks
how
in
that
there
did
that I'm
get-
like,
Oh my goodness.
yeah, like there
Yeah,
were
so
several things in here that I was like, I
Stumbled on
something,
some-
No,
are you having
you're-
a stroke? Then?
I think, no, I think whatever, however that was,
Then it was like
it was
this
actually
in
put
the-
out
There was
like
like
this.
this too.
No,
Like,
see
oh,
this, no,
Because
this was,
also, think this is why it's.
I can actually send this
basically-
to everybody, but this
Yeah,
it was actually
probably not.
tables and it
It's,
deleted
you
the
know,
tables.
Yeah, there was a lot
Yeah.
of confusing
Yes,
things
that's
there.
why.
That's-
So why don't you just send this to you?
Yeah, will you send that to me so I can look at it while you're?
Here we go.
That would be great.
Good victim because
Let's send
money
this
is
to.
good, and
So
text
some
it
things
to
in
you.
here, I was like, some
I'll
things,
text it to you. And send it.
But I really
some
like the
things
way
really
that
made
picture
sense.
was
Some
like,
things were kind of outdated and don't really like
Here we go.
fly anymore, like coordinating with Paige that doesn't exist and things like that.
But it's actually very hard
Yeah,
to put both
actually,
feet flat
yes.
and the squat for any time over 30 seconds.
That way to go. It's gonna have
Which
to be
I
sent
learned that,
by-
I practiced
Oh, we
with
can
them when
just
I
go
was
back
pregnant with
to
Henry,
music
because we
evaluation.
did hypnobirthing.
Yeah.
And the coach was like, this is a really good
Wondering if
way to
it's
get
export
baby
and
down,
then
you know,
maybe I
when you're
can send it as
not
one
in the
idea.
thing, but you're in the, moving down the canal or whatever.
I'm gonna
But she was
revise
like, but
everything.
yeah,
so that's
also
good.
like, don't just assume you're gonna get to the
So
hospital.
you think
you're
we
gonna
shouldn't have
squat
that?
for 20 minutes, because you probably cannot even squat right now. Like you need to practice this for like.
Okay, so that comes through. Send us a PDF.
And I was like, oh, whatever, I can totally.
Yeah.
I can't squat at all.
I don't like I can do it now, my.
Yeah, but we also can't promote.
Dude, God, he was.
Which one did you get the?
Commit things that have specific
Me too.
religious or political materials. We can't publicize that. Yeah.
Which I was.
It's
Yeah.
dancer.
Yeah.
Like, no, you couldn't, they were like, do
Five.
this.
Your
yoga.
whole
And I was like,
center of
I
gravity
physically
is
couldn't
gone.
my
Yeah,
arm, like,
yeah.
there's no way my abs are not talking to each other, like I physically cannot. So now, 10 years.
And you
11 years
know,
later.
trenches and.
We'll see what happens.
So I had.
Did you say you were
I did
gonna
not
text it
realize
to
I
me?
had
No, it's in your
And then
email.
I
Oh.
It wouldn't
had
handle
two
it.
bodies or some shit. And
See how it
I
turned
was
out as a
doing
PDF.
Like my
plank
personal email?
And my.
No,
and
the,
They were like, we cannot. A tent, like, you
Yeah.
know, when you're.
Yeah.
Instructor
Art
commission,
commission
go like
yeah.
this. It was like
See
this,
the-
and this lady came over and she was like, you shouldn't be doing that. She's like, I can tell right now, you have.
yeah, the tables show up on this. So
And,
send it to you as a PDF.
That this will actually make it.
And there's 12 pages.
Not only are you not gonna get flat stomach
Well, I
from
think
this,
as
but
long
you're
as we're
actually
using
making the
public
condition
funds,
you have right now
and
worse. I was
anything
like,
that's
what are you
given to
talking
this
about? And I
commission
went to my
is
doctor
we
and
can't
my
promote
OB had
political
never
parties or
even checked me
specific
for it, and
religions.
she was like, oh, I have 3 fingers
that's
in
what
there.
we
Yeah.
You got this pretty bad. I was
Yeah.
like,
Printed.
thanks, yeah.
Yeah.
Most of that.
Not very long
I
ago.
wish.
Okay,
someone
so
had-
we agree on that.
We did the yoga
If
thing.
somebody else is walking by with a
Stand on
sign,
one foot, so it's like,
that's a different
Yeah,
situation.
yes, I'm not
We're
lazy, I'm trying.
Yeah.
I can't.
Situation.
Coordinating with my friend's daughter who's in Salem to go pick up a bag of film canisters.
Yeah.
Because they are the most amazing thing, and I use them for so many school projects, and they are impossible to find. I found somebody on
Yeah.
Facebook that's selling like a bag of them, like 100 of them, for like $10, but it's in Salem.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
The city could
think.
not,
Yeah.
the city could not fund. posting
it
that.
was very, very odd.
I would
Make a
think
lot
it's
of
the
sense.
rest of the,
Especially coming from the answer.
No,
Now,
let's
this time
see
was
if they
just like a
have it.
regular, I'm like.
Oh, right.
you know, just
This is
thinking
not-
feel
what
just
you
like
have is not what
everything
was-
Go back to.
Yeah,
like,
I'll
you're
just
gonna
put it
tell me
down.
It's like, so.
Yeah, I got
just-
mostly
I'll just
like
put it there.
it looked like it was
Before,
mostly,
Yeah.
But.
no.
Wait, is it this though?
If you were.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So what's this?
I have no idea.
This is from before.
That's like a working one. I said, yes, this is.
Before.
I have so many copies of these things. and I
Okay, there
got
you go.
mostly these. This is
No,
other.
this is too much. That's
This
too
is
much.
Sorry, this is looking at the wrong one. That was more of an
I'm like,
example. That's
what?
why I was like, it's
Yeah.
not really a draft, it's
No.
more other people's.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna be reading this live because I was reading that.
No,
Yeah.
that was just the history of where I pulled
And then as
information
you get
from
older,
and stuff.
you have less
I think when I went to grab, I was,
It's
this
like
is
never gonna get
sorry.
better than this to this. Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, you're here, by the way. We always hear these rumors of.
I am, or poetry, I am.
Yeah, well, we're hanging you on every.
You guys
every-
like 2-minute warning, and we'll dive back into it.
Keeping you.
Timekeeper.
Month by month, we're on a month by
Try to
month
make sure we're
basis.
out of here.
Clean it up a bit.
Stay until March at least, though, right? Okay.
That's the agreement I have with Brad. It's just my,
But like,
the
it's
job, they
always
keep
like a
threatening to
project.
lay me off. And Brad.
I manage it really good with it. I mean,
So it's.
And I was thinking, maybe she's already committed to helping out with the business tree resident. And
The
but
entire
I think
medicine, they
participation
hired
of
all of
the
the
year
finance,
round
every
is
single one,
important
people
and
who have been there for 20, 26 years, it let them go.
I
They
was
don't
thinking
need
if she wanted to just.
They do need that, it's a
Are they
strategical.
laying them off?
You know,
Like,
Well, they just decided they were gonna
Focus on the
centralize,
IS or
and
something.
so these
Is
departments
it
were like,
for
I
some
don't know how to
talents,
invoice,
she
like, I
was
don't.
looking forward.
It's like, well, if you have
to
finance problems,
night,
all your.
Yeah, like
Finance
of all the
people.
people, of all the people.
artists in
whatever.
High school.
I'm sorry, Jean, that
Somebody
sucks.
who's
It's okay,
making
we're
PC.
live, so I probably shouldn't be talking about this, but I'll tell you later.
Hope this is the mayor's.
Yes, I don't want to pressure her to do it.
Yeah, okay.
I want her to just
Big
be able to
M.
support what we are doing.
Okay, sounds good.
We're also looking at the long term. You know, she's a-
Okay.
other things, and we could have-
Yeah, got it.
Okay. All right. Diving back on in. Mike will be back soon. I realized I was looking at the wrong part of the 5-year plan, but I'm gonna let Bev sort of lead this.
If you need an electronic version of the 5-year plan, I can send it to you. Are you okay? You have it? What it should look like is one big picture of Estacada area. Yeah, like that. It should work like that. That's the one you have, not the one with the.
Oh, I have
Do you have
this.
extra
That's
copies?
That's
real.
what I was looking at.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I don't have.
I don't, but I can send it to you.
Oh, no, that's okay. I think I have an electronic copy. I just don't have an electronic thing to look at.
Device.
Yeah.
Here, I can share.
It's,
It's looking to see if I have more copies.
Here.
I'm unplugged, sorry.
And this is pulled from probably 5 or 6 different commissions, art commissions from around the United States. I try to look at ones locally to us and then a couple demographically the same.
Before you jump in, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
As we're developing this, are we developing this in an attempt to reflect our current priorities or to establish additional new priorities?
I think both. The additional new priorities would be goals and objectives, maybe within the next 5 years. But I think what you set today should probably be the objectives for 2024, 2025. To stay with that. So that part would be already determined, just needs to be edited.
So
Again,
can we delineate in this when we're making your document, what are current versus future? You know what I mean? I don't want to say that we're doing all these things and then later have to go back in and find what we were thinking
Yeah,
of
yeah.
being a
No.
future thing and what's reflecting next calendar year.
right, so if you go through, the first page is just the table of contents. Second page is a recap of what you've already been doing. This, page 2 of 12, page 3 of 12. It's, I just put out a little bit more, but we can, change any of that. So that would be section C with the vision. I'll just give a quick overview and we'll go back. Section D is when we meet. Section E is our charge. And what we have done this year versus what we're going to do next year. Okay, so that's the 2024. I was writing this to try to get it done before the fiscal year, which was July. So we've got a lot more leeway here. And then we can revise the point 3 on page 4 of 12. That is actually taken as a conglomerate from other cities trying to take the best of what they have and plug it in here. And we don't have to go with any of these. Again, this is just a starter to delete, tear apart, add in, whatever.
Bev, I want to make a note here. You're on section E, the charge of EAAC.
Uh-huh.
Okay, we need to make sure that this aligns with what is in our city's municipal code. And I know on the second page, on page 4, you do have some of those. But I think we need to work off that as our basis because that's our mandate from the city
Correct.
and
Yeah.
maybe build off that, but just keep that in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, this is again, just a starter, but it's gotta absolutely be pertinent to what the city's mandate for us already is.
So I'm gonna just make notes on comments, okay? And let
Okay.
me know if there's anything.
Number 5 is then how to advance this. Now we're looking towards like the future. And different area partners to work with. Anyway, just again, these are just starters and the comparison would be different. Number 4 is, again, I was just thinking outside the box of different cities that we could kind of come alongside or benefit for what they're doing, whose demographics are similar to us. We don't have to do any of that. We can delete number 4, but it just gives some leverage. And we'll go back into the specifics. Section G is a projected 5-year plan. And I think that's because everything but prior to section G is to reflect what we have. So that's A through, what's that? F will be pretty much what we already have and already decided, so that won't be changed. And then the section G and goes into the 5-year plan. Page 7 is our objectives. And again, like the Christmas tree capital of the world event on page 7 of 12, we're not the Christmas tree capital of the world, we're maybe of the Northwest, but that's about it. So all this was done early, March, April. I think I created this. And then 1-year plan, this would have to be changed on page 8 of 12. To reflect what we've just already talked about. And then here's the 2-year action plan, how we would like to grow it. And I would recommend that it be organic. So at the end of each year, we tweak this, like at the planning meeting, maybe for 2020, 25, 26. It's not accurate, so we'll just change it. So I try to put in something that shows a 1, 2, 3-year action plan, a 4-year action plan, you get to, and then the 5-year action plan.
So I would love to go back through my own records and see if I can find any of the reports or anything from the past art summits, because some of the things that you have on here have come up in the past, like a sister city has come up at least twice. I love seeing Tillamook on there just because when we had the fires, their school district sent stuff to our kids. So that warms my heart to see them on there. So that's personal bias, but we had like small projects on those, but we had also thought about like 5-year plans, 10-year plans with a lot more community members. So if I can find that, I'll send that to everybody on the thread. I don't even know if I have digital copies. If I have it, it might be in paper in a box somewhere, but
Boxes, old binders in my car that I can give to either one of you that will like them.
cool. Give them to Bev.
And I brought,
Stuff from Jane Reed too.
yeah, I brought a binder. Thought I brought it in here. Here,
Yeah.
but this is from 2004, 2006.
Mhm,
That's the latest action plan I could find. So it's 20 years old.
Mhm.
So I guess when I came on board here, I was looking for what's our goals and objectives other than just to satisfy our commitments this year. And it's to cast a vision that doesn't have to be set in stone. So if I leave or Jean leaves or someone else, people can step in and say, oh, here's what our desired vision is.
Mhm.
But when things happen like COVID or some other economic challenge or time of blessing and growth, this city explodes, all this will have to be adjusted. But at least you have a track of discussion that the city council will understand. Here's our position and our contribution. Here's our vision, and they can tweak it as well. So we are at least on the same page. They know where we would like to go, what kind of support we would need, be it grants or subsidies from the cities or whatever. But at least it gives us a track to outline a vision. Vision is kind of a scary thing because you feel committed to it, but it can be tweaked and changed and augmented as you go forward. But it gives someone a track to run up. So that's all this is meant to do. So what we've done so far today absolutely can address page 2 and page 3, I think. We can talk about page 3 and go from there. Part of this, and with me being a liaison to the Downtown Economic Commission, you'll see reads into that each of us as art commissioners have a kind of like Jerry is 10 bushes assigned to us, that we keep tabs on another commission, that we have a link to them rather than showing up when there's a need only, that we keep pulse on the Parks and Rec. For example, the Parks and Rec hired a separate consulting agency to have them state their 10-year goal, a 5-year goal, and that's what you have down here. The proposed lakeshore development stuff. The problem is COVID kind of stopped it all. They haven't picked it up. But they had a track to run on that's been paused. How they pick it up, if it's picked up in the same format, I don't know. But it's in reading Parks and Recs, in reading the city charter, I was trying to figure out where the Arts Commission fit in. And it's almost like we're being not driven in a negative way, but Parks and Rec is here and we come alongside. I don't know if that's how it's meant to be, but we haven't had like a standing of our own in front of, from what I can read here.
Yeah.
So this is old information. So that's,
I think that, I guess my thoughts and feelings about this are, I think that we have developed goals. And I know you weren't privy to that, but we have had those goals developed that we've talked about. I do think we have projected things. My concern with sort of some of the things that I see in here are things that have just been tagged on that are actually other people's things. Like, I would say that the Founder's Day doesn't belong in our vision, because that's something that's a collaboration with other commissions and other things, much like the Christmas tree lighting.
It's a project,
That's-
not a goal.
It's a project, not a goal. And if we're gonna do like an ongoing, like our ongoing project, that's our project, is our poetry. Like, that is an ongoing project that is projected out for many years. Our
Arts at the
developing the annual Arts at the Creek and having that be an ongoing tradition.
Yep.
Is a project that goes on for years. The Summer Passport is a project that goes on. I would like to see those things reflected in here.
that's,
And I would, honestly, I don't feel like things like the Christmas tree lighting or the Founder's Day belong in our vision.
okay.
That's just my personal, just because I feel like that's sort of something that's being explored. We don't even know what that looks like or who's gonna be involved, and that shouldn't be, in my opinion, I don't
we-
think the Founder's Day thing, it should be an Arts Commission thing. That should be
We
a city
are,
thing that we participate in.
Yeah,
So for me, that
exactly.
falls under the umbrella of like, cooperating and whatever the one is where we're like coordinating with other commissions, and that would fall into this umbrella of doing like Art in the Park with Parks and Rec, Christmas tree lighting with the Downtown Commission, Founder's Day with other commissions. That falls under like a separate umbrella. And the umbrella for ours should be, I can just think of those 3 things that we've been talking about already today, which would be like poetry and Arts at the Creek and a Summer Passport, that we are sort of the driving force and bringing other people into. To me, those seem like,
Money.
and the 1% for art,
1% for sure should be
and
in there. yeah.
continuing on with the public art purchase also.
Okay,
I-
so let's go in. Well, I'll delete.
To me, those are
page-
like 2 separate umbrellas.
That's exactly the type of conversations we need to have, so that's great. So we're talking about, I will delete everything from the Christmas tree and Founders, put it under a separate heading of joint efforts.
Yeah,
Christmas tree, Founders Day, and you mentioned one more.
The 1% should be in
Christmas
there
tree
as a
foundation.
focus for the Arts Commission,
that is
because
definitely
we are
part of it.
required to chair that committee. I think one valuable thing about this document that I'm really excited that it's happening, partly because I was on the commission and stepped away and then came back, is just that continuation, as you were saying, of documentation. And what I've seen from, being on the commission different times is that the piece that gets lost as we have turnover is the shared mission, the shared vision, and then also the understanding of what's in our scope and what's outside of our scope. And so I think that, like, while it's nice to have a list of projects that we're doing or not doing, I think it's more valuable to have a more general, like, we have to do the 1% for the arts because it's funded by the city and doesn't happen if we don't have the Arts Commission involvement because it is part of the charter. No, documenting whether or not we're responsible for, paying artists. Like if you look at the local arts, survey, I don't remember what it's called, from the Americans for the Arts, they ask a lot of questions about like, how much money do you pay artists? Like how many paid staff do you have? And we've talked different times in the past with the commission about whether or not like we want to hire an arts commissioner through the city or whatever. I mean, that's like, it hasn't happened in the last few years, but like Woodburn maybe hired an arts professional. It's come up a few times. I don't know, but just some of these, like, is this the Arts Commission responsibility or not? Questions. It would be nice to, like, as we're developing this plan, come to a shared understanding of, like, in general, it's not our job to offer grants to artists. Like, it will never be part of the Arts Commission that, we ask for money from the city and then solicit grants from the community. Or maybe it is, but it hasn't been historically. But some of those things that people expect arts commissions to do in general, just noting like, we do this, we don't do that. That helps us make decisions about like, even the Estacada Creates, is it part of our mission to provide workshops, or is it more of our mission to network within the community? I'd like to see those conversations continue and be fleshed out in this document. And I love that you're making it.
Yeah, it's like the Estacada, the institutional knowledge is what gets lost every time the board turns over more than two people at once or whatever, as has happened multiple times for this board where it's like entirely turned over with maybe one person remaining or one person coming back or something like that. So it is nice to have, if, God forbid something happens and this does turn over, then incoming Arts Commission can see right away, oh, we have to do this. We have to do this 1% arts thing. Like, I didn't even know that was a thing we had to do
Mhm.
until I joined. And like, it was months after I joined that I'd first heard of it.
Well, I do think we've taken some steps and things like with the Google Drive, there is a home for every agenda, for every set of minutes,
Mhm.
for all of these notes, all go in the same place. Like I could disappear today and somebody could read all through all of the things that we have. So I do think that I know you have it in here that we need like a hard copy of that in a binder or something that can be somebody's job to put together. But like it is in one place. Like when I came on, like, I don't even know what happened last month. Those agendas
Yeah.
all got recycled and they never were seen again.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
we just didn't even have that, and we're getting better about that organizational piece, which is creating an easier longevity, like a list of volunteers. It's there. We just have to,
Yeah.
people aren't necessarily utilizing it because it's in Google Drive, which maybe not everyone is accessing, but it is there and accessible for everybody, which I do think is important for that, like that turnover.
And
piece.
even like, that list of vendors and everything was, invaluable for last year when I was like gonna do food carts. And I was like, I live in the town. I know about these food carts, but I don't know these people's phone numbers or email addresses. So,
Something that would be nice to have in this document, because the way I see it is like, you start with this document, you read this like 20 pages or whatever, and you're like, oh, now I know where to find that. So like putting in here, like, at this point in time, we save all the agendas and minutes in,
That's a great idea.
or
Google
even an
Drive.
addendum or something at the end that's like information for volunteer, like contacts are,
Who's this?
here.
Carpets.
Food
Oh, right.
vendor contacts for events are here. Music, who do we get our sound system through? Mike has a heart attack and drops dead tomorrow. Like, how do we go about getting sound system? You know what I mean? Like stuff like that in your physical copy, Bev, basically could steer towards the cloud, but at least tells you where to have a link. Yeah,
Another thing to
exactly.
remember is that the city now on the website is keeping all of that information as well. The agenda, the minutes, the packet. and recordings are required by law to be on the website. I don't know how far back they've
for
got
her
it set up
partner.
for, but
But like we,
going forward, that's always gonna be there.
since January of 2023, when I arrived, all of it is also in our markets. So
Mhm.
like from there on, we have a lot of information. Sorry for sneaking in that card with my. So I think that, when we're looking at like, I see like the 2, the 3, the 5-year plan, I wonder if we can start with like a 2-year plan and evaluate it in a year, because like we just made a big shift, even right
Totally.
now.
Yes,
Like,
so,
we Need a shift, but off investigated creates to this, and then this year we're like, okay, not that, we're doing this. I feel like a 2-year plan is where we're at. I don't feel like we're at a 3 or 5-year plan right now.
Okay.
That's just me personally, because I feel like we've just made a big shift. Right
yeah,
now,
let's
today.
do a 2-year plan and then see how this is worked.
Check in a year and see just how this year's priorities go, just because I think a lot of it is like the commission has been in such a transitional place between old guard and then COVID, and then people trying to figure out what that looked like in COVID,
Mhm.
and then coming out of COVID, and now like it's just shifted so much, it feels really hard to do something in a huge scope.
And also, are we saying in these plans, we are hardwiring our events?
Well, I
No.
think there's
Okay,
a difference
that-
between goal and project.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
project is our list of things that jump in, but this
The
is.
goals can be,
Goal is more
Coordinating
general,
with
like,
commissions
right.
to promote activities, and then what we do to support that goal.
yes,
But
okay,
the goal
okay.
is the clear piece of it, but that does matter because like our previous goals, like, you know, if we're creating all these workshops, that's like a different kind of goal.
So again, I showed what we did for 2024. Then I can have a section that says, here's what we're gonna do for 2025, or we're just change directions a little bit in some areas where we have some major projects we're committing to. And then, so and then the 2-year goal, where you would like to be in 2 years, I think would be interesting.
Yeah,
Because I put major development here for some things we could do, which I think would be easy and also help us to cast vision for a 3, 4, 5-year goal, is to invite some of the art commissions around us who have, maybe they're successful in just one little area, but have them come in and briefly share, give them a 10-minute slot. Here's what we're doing in, Boring or Woodburn or
Yeah.
whatever. Just to cast a vision for
Totally.
us, because not everything's going to fit, but we won't be able to stretch our vision and adjust, especially with such a high growth opportunity here. That is what our biggest opportunity, but a lot of people view it as our biggest headache. It normally comes
The
both
growth piece.
together. Yeah, the growth, but it does give us a phenomenal opportunity. Personally, in doing the research for what we were as a community back in the early 1900s, we're facing exactly the same issues with exactly the same responses and the same reticence, but yet opportunity for growth.
Okay.
So it's
I agree.
it's a good thing, but the headaches are natural. I don't know how we can avoid it, the struggle of growth, but how we expand the benefit of an arts commission to help other commissions in the community. I think will help to have speakers. I'm willing to help arrange a couple of them, and you organically will know, maybe you can contact someone, but.
Yeah, I just ran into
But-
somebody at like a teacher professional development that had like a Milwaukee Arts Commission
Yeah,
thing on her
Bring
computer.
'em
I was like, hey, what's your deal?
yeah,
And like she had just joined the Arts Commission in Milwaukee, and we'd have this lovely chat about the porch concerts, and
yeah, so.
it's fun to connect with those people. Just like, what are you doing? What's your shtick?
I think that's a great idea to have like surrounding city commissions come in at a meeting. Maybe this is something because we have another planning meeting, a long one like this
typically
in the spring.
We typically have done it in September.
Yeah, so maybe for that next long meeting towards the end or the beginning, that might be something we could do. Be like, hey, we're having this meeting, send out an email to surrounding art commissions, city commissions, and be like, would you like to present, just a quick 5-minute overview of things you're doing this coming year, and just, you know, maybe we can find ways we can collaborate. Maybe it's just to give us ideas. Maybe, you know, you're putting it out on a meeting that is being recorded and hopefully watched by somebody, like, so.
I'm sorry, I have to step in here because I really feel like what we're talking about right now with inviting other arts commissions here is so far beyond the scope of what the Estacada Area Arts Commission should be doing. Like, I'm not saying it's a great idea. And share it with Ariel at the Clackamas Arts Alliance and do it there. I'm sorry, like, I love the idea of an arts summit of Estacada opportunities, but I think we have enough on our plate just working within the boundaries of what we have. Like, and if you want to go attend the boring or Sandy Arts Commission meeting, please do. But
I do
I
feel like-
don't have the bandwidth for that scope at all. And I think that is a huge ask of this committee right now.
I'm gonna go ahead and back Deborah up a little bit in saying that I think that those conversations are good. Like, I feel like those conversations are good recon for people to do, and then we bring it back here to this meeting in September next year. Being the timekeeper, and like, sometimes we don't even have a quorum of people that show up to this meeting every month. And we pretty much maximize our time every month, and getting a big picture conversation from a different commission in like October. I wonder what food for thought that is. If we're already having done this, we've already planned our things. We have to think about like what we're gonna do with that information and when we're gonna utilize it.
Well, I was just, the only reason I brought up is because like, so we're talking about like trying to promote other people, a featured artist or whatever, not doing it, not something we're involved in necessarily. And it's like, maybe another city's doing that and they can give us ideas how to do it without a conflict of now we're promoting a business. Like just those little in the weeds
So
types of things that, you know, we're talking about. Maybe, I mean, I'm not saying we have to, I mean, I understand, Deborah, I think that I'm just saying we listen.
And
I'm
a-
not saying we take anything on, but you know.
So an appropriate venue for that has been done in the past is something like the Art Summit. And the way that was organized is that we had an organizer, we wrote a grant specifically for that event.
That seems way
we-
harder than just
well,
asking
I mean,
three.
Talk about doing that constantly on a smaller level. And I think that's where we're sort of like, well,
But
like, we have a lot on our books already, and I know we want to
Yeah.
gather information to put this in the plan. But like, we have all sorts of copies of all their goals. We can find out about the activities that they're doing. I think if we're gonna ask them about a specific thing, or we want to go approach them about like, hey, we'd love to support an artist, then we send a delegate to go to their commission meeting and we go from there.
And if
I
we're-
think we gotta be careful about our own scope.
yeah, if we're wanting to do like a think tank kind of thing, like
Then
that.
that's a whole
then
nother.
Yeah, I
conversation.
wasn't
Yeah.
thinking
Yeah.
think tank.
Yeah.
I was
But
thinking like, just like,
Sophie might be super up for doing that.
And we could think about
And then you
like
could do it all at once on one day.
2 years
you
from
know,
now or
like-
something, like thinking like, oh, we'd love to do that. But knowing that to do it well, we do want to have not necessarily like a $10,000 grant, but enough for like food for a night
Right.
catered event and marketing to like actually reach out to the different commissions, make sure we really, think through it. It's still something that we can maybe do, but we're thinking like 2 or 3 years out, like after we've had a chance to digest this, and we're thinking like, oh, we maybe want to organize that event because it has gone really well in the past, but it goes well when you have like 2 years to plan through and find the money and connect with people and get it on their schedules. And so I still think that is something we could do, but I think that helps with like the bandwidth issue too, because we're not thinking about like, oh, in the next few months, we're gonna like have
Right.
these conversations, you know what I
So
mean?
can we pin that as like a future goal? I think that's a great future goal. But
To
I
have
think,
anyone come share for 5 minutes, we'll pin that for a couple of years.
I mean, I think that the sharing is great, but it's sort of like, what are we gonna do with it in that moment?
Right.
We don't want somebody to sprinkle something in our head in October, and then by like November, December, like, we already have our plan, like, when are we gonna do something? with it?
Yeah, no problem.
Mhm.
That's.
I love the idea, instead of doing it tiny bits all over the place, in like a year or two, doing like one big intentional thing where it's like a gathering of the minds and everybody,
Mhm.
you do like a lot of brainstorming in one day. And then immediately after that, do what you're gonna take from that and make some intentional actions directly after that. That feels like more realistic.
Yeah.
If you sprinkle it, it might be less, we might get less out of it.
No problem. All right, good. So I'll delete year 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll just, we will just keep it really.
Let's just all hope for
Thanks, guys.
we
could
can keep there.
Let's put 2, 3, 4, 5 in the cloud.
1 and 2 is good.
Don't
1
just
and 2 is
delete
good.
it.
Don't
4,
delete
5
2, it's
sounds
too
good.
much.
5,
Keep
yeah,
in 2.
1 and 2 and.
We
2
can
will
do
be the
2.
same as 1 and we'll be good to go.
I mean, maybe
2
we
years
could
ago,
put,
the only person here was Deborah, so let's just be real about who's gonna be here in 2 years too, so.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we could put as the end of our 2-year goal to like work on a 5-year goal. Like
There you
maybe we
go.
have a 2-year goal and then we're like, okay, so after 2 years, then we want to look at 5 years.
Fine. Maybe develop, okay, no problem. I will simplify this, be my joy to do it, and shoot it back to you. It would be pretty
Sweet.
clear down.
All right, I have one more idea. Going back to in part of your 5-year action plan goals, the budget growth. I think that is an idea that we should be talking to the city about and being like, with the growth that our city is experiencing right now, I think we're up to like 5,600 or 700 now. That the city should be earmarking some specific chunk of money for the arts. And it shouldn't be just on us to come up with those projects, but that the city really needs to buy into it and on their side also take a bit more intentionality to like, we want the arts to be an economic driver in the city. And this is how we're going to support them. You know, so we shouldn't have to feel like for Arts at the Creek that we have to get out there and fundraise.
Get every dollar
because
every year.
that event benefits the whole city in
Mhm.
multiple ways.
And that arts for the American for the Arts survey, it's the arts and economic prosperity
Yeah.
survey. Like we have those results. There's evidence in there for Clackamas County and for Estacada specifically because we participated in that the arts do bring economic growth to Estacada. It's like they did a whole analysis about it. So I think it's to your point, like it's not just about like saying that we're an art city, although we value that. Not everybody may necessarily value that, but we can show that it like drives up the economy and has an economic impact because we participated in that survey, not just in the most recent one, but several years. You can see the growth,
Yeah.
like
I also think
dollar
there's a
for
piece
dollar.
of that we can really argue and advocate the promotion that we are doing for our youth artists and
Mhm.
because like we could just charge everybody and make more money.
Mhm.
But we are on purpose having like youth ones are coming for free. We're promoting community organizations. We're doing all this extra stuff that like, for example, like the downtown commission, right? Their idea is to make money for people downtown.
Mhm.
Our idea is to like promote all these other organizations in town and get like, we're promoting Philip Foster Farms. We're promoting all these other organizations in addition to providing this really opportunity, like this opportunity for our entrepreneurs. That I think we could argue that to the city and be like, we are bringing so much. This is a huge gift to the community that we're doing. We could charge for everybody and
Mhm.
probably make more money and do okay. But the whole point of it is to be more community oriented. So it's very different than like Oktoberfest.
Right.
Oktoberfest is just making money for the downtown commission,
Mhm.
Mhm.
like the end.
Mhm.
It's just a money maker for them with
Right.
a handful of crafts. Like they're not really promoting organizations or it's all costs money for everybody. So
Mhm.
that I think that we have like a special, we are doing something for our community that no other commission is really doing with that event.
Mhm.
That summer celebration, it was so valued. Like, let's bring that value back. We are doing the same thing.
Mhm.
So value that. Show us that you value that.
Mhm.
I just
Yeah.
think that's an important point to make. Like
Yeah.
this is a gift to everybody.
And
that we're
I
doing
think
this.
that Elena will totally be on board with that idea, because she's promoted to us like, oh, here's some tourism grants that
Mhm.
you guys would be eligible with the programs that you're doing, and with the Economic Development Commission starting up. I really feel like there's a great momentum
Mhm.
for that.
Yeah.
So that's something I would like to see that reflected
Yeah.
in those goals that you have for those year
Sure.
1 and 2.
Yeah, and especially losing the rack because
It's huge.
yeah,
The Rock, what?
it's
RACC.
at RACC is the
Regional
Regional
Arts
Arts and Culture Council,
Okay.
and that's the grant that we were talking about. They stopped funding Clackamas County.
Okay.
But I mean, I can't even tell you how much money they pumped into Estacada specifically. It's really a huge, huge funding loss for us.
Yeah, they did big grants for summer celebration.
Like $20,000.
Mhm.
I think back in the day it was like the bigger size ones.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even know how to spend that much money on. Arts at the Creek.
Well, I mean, that's summer celebration, like they had artists through the day for 3 straight days and they paid them
Well, I remember, yeah.
a good chunk of change. I mean, just the music alone was more than 10,000.
Yeah.
There's point number, on the 1-year action plan, it's, assign art commissioners to to be bridge contacts for other commissions, and I put my name in for the art, Downtown Estacada Commission, we have Parks and Recs, Public Safety, Library Board, we already have Deborah there.
Alicia for Parks and Rec, 'cause
Yeah,
her
I
husband's
do
on
Parks and
Parks.
Rec.
Parks
And I
and-
think like, what are we asking of this? Is like, I can't go to another commission meeting.
Well, I can't go to I can't go to a
I
Parks
can
and
be a
Rec meeting
point
every
person
month,
to- Yeah, like
but
if-
I could go to one every
yeah, like
4
there's-
months.
There's no point in us going to a traffic and public safety
Okay,
commission.
well, whatever you think, I didn't know if you wanted
Yeah.
to buy into that or just let it.
Well, I think the
fly.
ones that directly connect with arts events, Parks and Rec for sure, Downtown Estacada Commission for sure.
Library Board.
Library Board for sure. We use,
Making that specific connection either with
To
me
the
or with
library.
Zach.
Cause we
or with
use
Roxanne, yeah.
the library and materials and buildings and so often.
And Isabella can tell us about the schools.
And then, what's the other, is there another? Deborah, was there another, or I mean, sorry, Bev, was there another?
No, we have, I just. threw
Traffic
some out
and
there.
public.
Yeah, no,
safety,
we don't have to
I mean,
worry about
but I
them.
mean,
Putting their
I
hands
think
by
what's
thing.
missing here, and I'm not even sure how to notate it and don't want to volunteer to be a liaison for all these things, but getting our connections back with the community organizations, so like Spiral Gallery, Estacada Together, I don't even know if they're still a thing, Artsmith, like all of these nonprofits that are
Art Back.
arts, really art back.
I've sort of, just because I've been communicating with them via Arts at the Creek, like I've
Uh-huh.
made contact with all of those people, except Spiral Gallery, really.
Estacada Together still too
Jane Reed is technically part of it. They're not really a thing. They don't
anymore.
do anything.
Okay.
And then it's really, isn't the DVC been rebranded as something like that?
No, Estacada Together was
But
a
it's that-
separate.
The Equity Commission. sort of
They,
did that.
yeah, they changed the name a little
Estacada.
bit. So Bev, but if you go and look at this on the city website, the list of boards has all like the official titles and stuff.
Right.
The purpose of Estacada Together was to not be
Not
city
yeah.
related, because then they were eligible for writing for grants that city government was not eligible for.
And to my understanding, I think they kind of redirected their efforts towards trying to get the community heart and soul going, and then that got really.
Yeah, I think that probably,
I think that kind of
Yeah.
was momentum that went nowhere.
yeah. But I mean, they got Ford Family Foundation grants all the time through that.
But with if we do, dedicate, basically, it would be good to be like, okay, Alicia, I need you to figure out what's going on with parks. We don't all have to worry about it and, and emails that go nowhere and who, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing.
Mhm.
Bev, you need to talk to downtown and see what's going on with tree lighting. What are we
Yeah.
gonna be doing? You know,
Everyone-
Deborah, like
Yeah.
we're doing something at the library, you know, NaNoWriMo.
Mhm.
Like, you know, are you on that? And stuff like that. I think that's a really good way to go, to just have a dedicated, you know, and then if your life changes in some way and you're like, I can't do it, I can't be dedicated to this commission liaison, then hopefully we can pick another person, because there are those important commissions that we do, or boards or what have you.
Those three, right? Library board,
Yeah.
downtown, parks. Those are
Yeah.
like the most-
That
the
we-
ones that we coordinate with.
That we do coordinate a lot with,
And
and we need,
Economic, that should be a new one.
Oh, that's the new one.
That's the new one, yeah.
The downtown Estacada, but it's a
Downtown Estacada Commission, and then there's the economic,
Development Commission,
No.
which is the new one.
it is the economic, yeah,
Who's on
EDC,
that one?
economic development.
I don't know yet.
Oh, DEIC is now called Better Together.
Better to
that's
know.
what it was.
Yeah, that's totally.
So yeah, we would need, if there's a commissioner that would be a liaison with that one you just named. Not DIC, the economic
The
one.
chair- Taught his son in first grade.
Oh,
Right.
nice.
the Art Back and Spiral Gallery.
Yeah, that's something that could be in appendix or something and be a running list of.
It's not organized enough to have one voice.
Well, it's not right this
at
second,
this moment.
but that is just
It's
a
a
slice
goal.
of time,
It's like a forever goal for us, but I'm saying for the last year and a half, I can't tell you how many of us have
Right.
tried to,
but for the
and it-
30 years before that,
right.
there was more of one. So I don't
you
want to
have a
like
ton.
look at it right now and say that this is like the forever state of it. I think they're going through a point of transition.
Okay, and then the next line is assigned commissioners or funding and oversight opportunities. I have number 2, which is the grants. But we still need to continue contacting those people who've given before. Line 1. Is there a person gonna head that up, or we just?
I mean, I'm the one that sends out the fundraising stuff for Arts at the Creek specifically, and that's been sort of a like, this will sponsor Arts at the Creek and other arts related activities, like I'm leading with Arts at the Creek because that's where our promotional piece. Last year we wrapped in, we would put your brand names and stuff or your logos on the summer passport and in our Arts at the Creek, but that all funds go towards our activities.
Our
whichever.
commission activity.
So I'm happy to, I feel like it makes sense to wrap the fundraising all into like our 2 summer projects.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
yeah, so I'm gonna put you as the point person right now, and if
If-
you want to have your number.
For
2
Reliance,
Oh, yeah.
for Reliance and maybe PGE, basically.
It sends out letters
Smart.
and reaches out.
It might be worthwhile on there just putting that the chair is the point person for
Yeah,
like
not-
city hall too.
Yeah.
Just general, like, you know, the treasurer talks to Sadie, the chair talks to city hall, just so it's documented in the,
That's a good call.
because those are people that we regularly talk to too, and it's nice to just know who.
Can I
Right.
also say something, and I brought this up earlier, but I'm gonna say it again, because it became clear to me that not everybody realizes that something that I do. Alex and I were talking about how much conversations that we have that are like not privy to maybe everybody. That like every social media post that has been done in the last year and a half, it's I and send it to Alex. So like if you're in charge of an event or you're taking something on, I would love to be able to not have to be the person that does the 3 sentences and the flyer. I'm just gonna put that out there again, because it's a small thing, but it's like a constant thing. Like every time we're like, let's do a post. That's not like Alex all of a sudden does a post. Then that becomes something that I do and I send to Alex and then Alex copies and pastes and posts. So I just want to be clear about that. If you guys need something to be posted, that we just, when we say, let's make a post about it, like I'm saying, I'll do the one that's like the thing for the workshops, but like, if we're saying there's a post, we need to rapidly follow that comment with who will be making that post, so that it's not me having to make those posts all the time.
And
Should that go through you though?
No,
I mean, no, like, I'm
no,
not,
it should not.
I'm not like, I feel like there's a lot of like, Jesse, check on this. I'm like, I just run.
Well,
thing,
you're the
man. Like,
clerk, so
Yeah.
it's a
Okay,
valid
It's
question.
a valid question. Let me step in. We need to clarify with Alex, like, you know, if we want to do more of this promotion of local artists and events, you know, they do have like limits on their time and availability as well. We need to
I'll
make
add that
sure
to
that
my
we are
notes.
not overtasking Alex and asking too much. But, you know, that might be another larger discussion
I
discussion
mean,
with
I've
the
also,
city.
I mean, I've talked to her and she's like, it's no big, it takes her 5
Okay.
seconds to do a post. That's why I want to be clear that that's not a load for her, that's a load for me. And I think if, I just don't want to be responsible for filtering everybody's social media posts. Like I don't have the, I'm just the one that's coordinating the meetings and all that. It's not part of the chair's position. I shouldn't be the one that has the say of whether or not that works or not. I would much rather, I don't want to be that person. And I don't think that's, like, I have no more expertise than anybody
So,
else in the
right.
room. I don't want to be the one.
And can we
Okay.
also say for things that we are only, we're only working with, like art in the park? That's a Parks Department post.
I
That's
did
a,
all of the work for that.
so don't do it again, because that is the Parks Department's job.
Well, but we've said that that is a
Is the
shared
work-
event.
Well,
we're
it is,
co-sponsoring.
it is, but it's like, oh, okay. I didn't realize that. I thought,
I demanded that we call it a co-sponsoring because I was doing all of the work and I want credit.
well, if we want to step back from doing all that work, then
It won't
we-
get done, but the Parks Commission has shifted in their energies over the last year. Like they showed up. They literally didn't even show up to the last one.
because
or
yeah,
have
we
a
should
sign or
make
anything.
them do their work. We shouldn't be the default and then pick it all up. I know,
I'm just gonna say,
no
what
offense,
happened
Dave, but I
after
know
that?
as women, it happens.
But like Alicia, listen to what happened
especially-
after I did all of that and I like created the Google form and did the thing. I literally got an email from the chair of the Parks Commission that said like, oh, hey, we're doing this ivy cleanup in a couple weeks. Would you be willing to do a
It's-
form and a flyer for me?
And
I was
hopefully
like,
you said no, right? Yeah.
no, I'm a fool. You know me. I
Oh my
did
God,
it. And then
babe.
he didn't
Oh,
even use it.
Jesse.
Babe,
And I'm
no,
so mad.
Yeah.
So like, it's
No,
like, I'm
let's,
trying to advocate for myself.
let's-
a
We
little
need to
bit
give you a-
like,
no,
It's
let's
like,
put this,
Mhm.
let's put this in our thing
too.
that,
Thing.
other,
collaborations
when
need to be
we,
clear on
we-
responsibility.
but like also, when we are not running arts at the park, that is a Parks Department thing. We have a booth, at Arts at the Park and where we are going to run activity and we'll have some arts commission information. That's it. That is our responsibility.
can
And
talk
we
about
can
that specific
share
event
their
later,
posts,
yeah.
that we can help promote what they make for it. And if they don't do a good job at it, that is really sad. And I wish that they would
so
have done
He said I'm
better.
not bad. I like,
I
But-
do,
it was only because of like pressure from me that it even happened.
I do want to say devil's advocate here. The Art in the Park is an exception to everything because Parks and Rec created that event and has been running that event, but the community believes it to be an Arts Commission event. And
I know,
so,
and that's maybe because we're
Yeah.
doing a little too much work on it.
Yeah.
Like
and if it
we'd
falls
like them
apart,
to-
we take the brunt of the
Exactly.
the community pushback. So I think that's part of the reason why we've gotten over involved is to save our own face because
Well,
they're
right.
like
And-
presenting the
Right, I get that, but
Things that are involved in that. So this is not like, that is not like the hill. We don't need to die on that hill.
well, no,
It's
I know.
just
I'm
about,
just saying, like, I hear a lot of, I'm
Yeah.
overwhelmed. I
Yeah.
have too much. I don't have bandwidth. And we don't have bandwidth for our own activities
Right.
because we are doing the majority of another commission's activities, and that is not right.
Well, that's why I'm like. there's
That is
an
I
not
agree.
umbrella-
okay.
I agree.
And
Yeah.
it's not
there's an
okay to
umbrella
just
of, like, people
default
keep
it.
Coming to us with ideas and like, I love Jerry.
Well, yeah.
But
for-
it has to
it's-
stop. We have to be able to say, and we've said it before, like we were finally said it with the downtown commission that said, hey, Jerry said we could throw these things at you. And we said, no, we don't have.
Yeah, like the logo thing and stuff
So
like
you need to
that.
look at this document and say like, that's a great idea. We
Yeah.
can direct you to these resources. but
Yep.
That is not part of our.
Yeah,
Then I
so,
will move Art in the
sorry.
park to a joint function.
Yes.
because we have
It's a
it.
joint-
Yeah, I know,
yes,
but I'm gonna
yes.
move it. was
yeah, it is
joint,
not
but we're
our
gonna move
thing.
it.
It-
Okay.
It's
we
deceptive because it's.
can help
part of
with
the
it,
purpose.
but we can't overextend ourselves with it.
That one is not, it's not a super complicated
Joint,
one.
okay,
This
yeah.
is,
But it doesn't matter though. That's the thing. That's how you get roped into doing it. Saying, oh, well,
Yeah.
it's not. It is though.
That's
It
how the
is,
Winter
'cause it waits
Artisan
on
Show
you.
became an Arts Commission event, was because it was exclusively Downtown Estacada Commission. Phil Lingelbach retired and it became an Arts Commission thing. And then everybody's like, oh, it's the Arts Commission event. It was like, no, 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 no. We collaborated on 1 year and then all of a sudden it was
Mhm.
on our plate.
Exactly. So, I mean, that's part of this meeting from what I've surmised and, that we need to winnow our focus down to the things we want to do, that we want to put our intentionality and our attention and our, involvement into, and slough off all these extraneous things that we have too many fingers and too many pies. And that's what I hear the whole year I've been on the Arts Commission. And it's frustrating and it's annoying. And let's stop doing that to ourselves.
And be
Let's,
really
and
clear
it-
about
and-
like, if we're involved in the Christmas tree lighting, that is not our event.
It
No,
is
I'm
not.
involved in planning that event.
Nope.
But if we can have a presence at that event,
Yes,
then we would love to have a presence at the event.
exactly.
So we just need to be clear about those boundaries. for
Yeah.
sure.
And so I commit to going, to parks, meetings that
We have
are,
meetings.
that we need to go to. And, probably the one where they're gonna discuss art in the park. That is one I will go to because we will have a booth there. And I'm also committed to, and I hope I have everyone's backup to say, this is what we are willing to do at this event, but this is not our whole event.
Yeah.
So I'm going to close this out. The Economic Development Commission is
I have to
open.
do it.
Can
I
I
have
put
to.
my name on there until someone else takes it? Because I'm going down to the Downtown Estacada Commission as well.
Oh, sorry.
yourself
Say it again.
down.
I
You
missed
put
that.
yourself down.
I missed that part. And then someone else can take it over. Now, the last line item in 1 year action plan is a community engagement arts event. And I just changed it that this year our community focus is poetry in the park. That's our.
love it.
But
Is that okay or you want
I
something
don't feel
else?
like that fits as a, for
Okay.
me, the community engagement arts event would be Arts at the Creek in the summer passport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, the poetry in public places is our public installation.
Okay, so it's to
Yeah.
grow Arts in the Creek is not ours, but.
That is
At-
ours.
The creek is
at
ours.
the creek.
To grow
Arts
Arts
at
in the
the
Creek.
Creek.
Arts in the park
Creek.
is
Maybe we
ours.
should lead on maybe renaming that.
Yeah.
Theirs is
Creek.
easier, that one's easier to rename because ours is bigger.
Yep.
Okay, Arts in the
That was
Creek
our bad.
and Summer Passport.
Yes.
Just like for me, that's more of an engagement event and
Okay.
the
Yeah.
poetry would
Yeah.
fall under like our installation,
art.
Yeah.
public art.
Okay,
installation.
so I'm gonna put that as our community engagement focus for year one. What was suggested to us in Milwaukee, she gave a presentation. They did something called porch concerts in the summer.
That's Parks and Rec does
That
summer
could be, okay,
concerts.
but that's not in the park. What she was talking about is having it,
No, I'm saying that,
you would. put
Porch
that in the park.
concerts, is that what you just said?
Yes.
Yeah.
are you saying, are asking if we should do something? like that?
No, I'm, a 2 year action plan, we probably should amend at some point in time. In 2 years, what would you like our public engagement thing to
Mm.
be in 2 years?
I would
That's all I'm
think that
saying.
concerts wouldn't fall under our thing because that's already happening with another commission.
Yeah,
That's
and we're
all.
not doing the
Not a
arts
concert.
and I'm not doing the. So I'm just saying, as an example, when the Arts Commission, Clackamas Arts Alliance presented that she says, Milwaukee, we're doing
Could
something
the-
very low key, which is porch concerts. I'm just saying.
What about if we're talking about a 2 year plan with the
Yeah.
community engagement, why don't we put something in there about what you were
Like
talking
the
about?
art summit.
Like an arts summit like thing.
I
Yeah.
like that idea.
But that's
yeah.
not for the community to attend. Would
But
it
it's
be?
engaging members of the community in discussions with each other.
Could be, so let me see, maybe.
That's kind of what my
Yeah.
brain goes
Art
to,
Summit, okay, Art Summit,
Yeah.
because it's bringing community members in to have discussions
Mhm.
around.
Art Summit meeting.
This is not directly related to goals and objectives, but I'm looking at the process for posting things on the city site. And as a person and as a member, that you don't want me to just take stuff down there and have them do it, right? So we've got two proposals that are going to be soliciting participation from writers and artists. Now, should those be just approved by the subcommittee
Yes.
before they go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
That
that
does
could be
not
your, that
okay.
could be your
The intent, I think
Okay.
the three of
All right.
you talked to each
work
other.
on.
I wanna
Yeah,
the
check
that
specific
process
wording
so
And
that-
all that,
The
yeah.
purpose
I
of
don't
it
wanna-
going through
yeah,
the city,
Okay, the
the purp-
subcommittee will
Yeah.
review, okay.
the purpose of it going through the city
Mhm.
was established to solve the problem of individuals on commissions
Yeah,
submitting
okay, yeah.
directly.
Mhm.
So the fact that it goes through Alex is that like this can or
Filter.
cannot
Okay,
Yeah.
go up.
okay.
So it empowers,
I just went to the Clackamas County Arts Alliance and like said, this
Yeah.
is our
Okay,
event.
yeah.
Here's the thing. I don't have
Yeah.
to go through the city to promote it on another website.
Because it's already an event that's been approved
Yeah,
by
okay,
the
yeah.
city.
right.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
I just
think-
want to check that process.
Like, if we're finding events in our community that fit within the scope of supporting the arts, that if you see something that you think, oh, we should be promoting this, send
Say
it
something.
to Alex.
If you see something, say something.
Send it
Yeah.
to Alex and say, hey, does this fit?
Yep.
Can you please post this?
Yeah.
And, you know,
That's
Jesse
not gonna
doesn't
be-
have to see it.
Mhm.
And if Alex doesn't have time for it, doesn't think it fits, it won't get posted, but
Sure.
at least, you know, then we're actively doing, and any of us can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which that's the benefit of it going through her now is that it empowers
Yeah.
all of us to be
Yeah.
more active.
Thank you for that clarification.
Facebook page. Like
Yeah.
I've had like, hey, can you go on and share Ant Farm's thing that they posted in Sandy about this event? And then she'll just go and share it. So if you see something that's already being posted on Facebook, she can often just share that post directly
mhm.
also.
Yeah.
And that would be great if more people did that, because that's, again, that's just usually when I see something
Right. And because nobody sees everything, because all of our Facebooks are
different.
different.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I deleted for the 2 years goals, because you wanted to have a 2-year goal. Line 2 is conduct commission business. Line 3 is support annual plan events, which is the prior. Line 4 will be review and recommend funding of community or culture events or would be grant programs, what I'm talking about there. Line 5 will be continue to support joint community projects such as, I'll put the Founder's Day, Art in the Park, or
Mhm.
put some of those.
Mhm.
Number 6 will be expand our visibility. We have the youth. Like Isabella. Whatever, I'm gonna delete that whole thing. Matter, 'cause we're already doing it.
We're doing the public art display.
No, they expand our visibility.
Because above that, do you have the public art display as part of that plan? Because that's part of our plan to continue.
Continue, okay, let me do continue.
Just like continue and review the poetry and public arts.
Yes,
I'm just gonna
that's,
call it PIC.
that support, the annual and, yeah. plan
And-
events with section E, so I'm gonna.
And purchase some art for City Hall, because we really need to do that.
We really do
Okay, so
need to
they
do
go, and I'm gonna do add purchase.
So, are we talking about that at this meeting too?
That, I forgot to put that
No.
on the agenda and I realized
No.
we were supposed to, but no, we won't have time.
Maybe
November,
for
we can do
February?
it. I think we
Oh.
could even do it next month in November.
Okay,
If we,
Okay.
if anybody we can come up with a couple options. I think we just dive.
because
into
Mike,
it.
Mike and I have an artist that she lives in Oregon City.
$700.
What?
We have $700.
Okay, that's good to know.
Is it 700 or 750?
$700-ish dollars. It might be $750.
I'll just write 7 because Mike and I have an artist that
Yeah,
we
she
would
looks-
like.
Mhm.
And then so maybe, I mean, this could be saved towards the end of this meeting, but if everyone just wants to grab an artist in your head and we can
We meant to
present,
have that be
w-
today,
e-
but.
everyone
really
can-
Determined to be done in 18 minutes. But yeah, and we don't have a whole lot to go over at our next meeting, so I think we could easily make a
Perfect.
decision about that.
I just had one other thought, that, again, not related to the planning, but we have a subcommittee of 3 now. We can exchange information since we're an authorized subcommittee. Whereas if we weren't, we could not, 3 of us could not communicate on a project.
There's
Could-
3 of us. We have to save the emails as minutes, right?
I've never.
No,
heard
it's
that.
more than 3.
Is it more than
It's
3?
more than
We have
3.
to have a
Okay, good.
Because
quorum.
more than
Okay.
3 is a quorum.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
so if 3 of us were in a group
Thank you.
text, I don't have to like save those
No,
somewhere
don't
or
you
something.
think that If it's.
That's good to
subcommittees can
know.
Make lots of plans and things, it's just that if you're gonna make like a budget decision, that needs to come to us.
Yeah,
If it's
yeah.
like a big
Mhm.
decision, it needs to come to us, but by authorizing.
We'll try to only do what what
But-
we've authorized today.
But more than
Yeah.
3 is the threshold for keeping minutes.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
four, and it's gonna be-
Right.
Yeah, okay, I'm just,
Go and run
I'm
it.
just,
Right, right,
I'm just
right,
trying to
yeah.
check all
I
these
just
things
thought it
now,
was 3 and
rather
not
than
4.
So that's
be
the
informed
point of like
later.
a subcommittee is to kind of make the
Yeah.
action items, figure out what they are, and then you bring anything important, big or expensive to the
Yeah.
real committee. Or to
Yeah,
the whole
okay.
committee, I mean,
Yeah.
not the real, but you know, what I mean,
Yeah,
the entire
Yeah.
Yeah.
committee. At an
Okay.
official meeting.
So again, I just reviewed the 2-year action plan, which is conduct mission business. Number 2, continue to support and grow annual planned events, see section E. Review, and number 3, review and recommend funding of community events and program grants. Number 4, continue to support joint community projects such as Founder's Day celebration, Art in the Park, and 4th of July parade. Number 5 is increase awareness of arts, culture, and heritage program through marketing. It's just we're pushing other people to support local artists, nonprofits, provide education, etc. It's about as vague as I can get. And then number 5 is add community. Our additional community involvement project will be proposed arts summit meeting. And then to focus on purchase art for City Hall for the 2-year. That's it.
Sounds great.
I'll revise this and send it out to everyone.
And can we make it, maybe put somewhere in here that the review of this plan can continue to happen at our fall planning meeting?
Yeah, like every fall, we can come back
Fall
to it
just
and
feels like-
adjust. That's a great idea.
Fall, we have a little bit more time and bandwidth. In February, we're kind of like, what's happening in the next couple of months?
we're trying to get done.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a little bit more full. The agenda's more full. in
I
the
think that's a
spring.
great idea.
Review-
Adjust as needed.
Review, adjust
Mhm.
in the fall. Great. Okay.
Just have to wait for Mike to come back so we can
So we
adjourn.
can tell him to go.
Yeah, I think.
Just do like a really, give me 5 minutes to just review. Actions. Bev's gonna be meeting with Sherry. Mike and I are gonna, and Alicia, and I will talk about Christmas tree. The poetry in public places by the following,
Yeah, I'll go to the city.
you'll have the meeting with the city.
Mhm.
You and I can talk about making a meeting with Reliance.
Okay,
Those are
Yeah.
like the 2 things,
Yeah,
like
that's
the
the
big
funding.
funding
Yeah,
piece
yeah.
and then the city
Okay.
approval piece.
Mhm.
And sorry. If we are going to city council, I'm gonna go and make a plea for just like, hey, remember the Arts Commission and we're gonna be doing this thing next year. Should I be doing that right now? Is that too soon? If we're also gonna talk to them about poetry, do we wanna put the poetry in their bonnet first and then come back with more information like after elections?
I
He
don't
was saying we're remembering we're doing elections soon.
I think
so
if we're
should we-
asking people to do things, we should go early and often. Like if we're asking for volunteers or especially the coordinator positions, like there's never too soon.
How's the past, how's the funding issue been dealt with favorably or not favorably by the current members? And is there a
Well,
possibility?
That's, the current members have never been asked
Is
for.
Paul
I don't think
Strobel,
his stepping
can-
down.
okay, I would go now.
He's the one that he gives us money.
Yeah.
What I
Well,
understand
he's
is we're gonna look at,
first, I don't
we're
know.
gonna talk to the staff, the city staff first to see if there are any problems that they anticipate with this
Yeah, we don't
proposal.
want to put the cart before the horse.
Yeah, and then if that works, then we can go to the council.
Don't wanna
and
ask for
fund
But I'm
it.
saying we've talked about 2 appearances at city council. Me showing up
Okay.
to talk about Arts at the Creek
Mhm.
You guys showing up to talk about poetry.
I would say, go ahead, do that now,
Okay.
You are
because we
at
still
3.
need to meet with Elena
Yeah.
and
And
talk
mine
Yeah,
was
but
for to be heard by the community and like, remember what we
Yeah.
just did.
Yeah.
We're doing it
Yeah.
again next
Yeah,
year.
like you
Okay.
can be in
Go
in public
somewhere.
comment
Okay,
to
Yeah.
just say that, whereas we will have
you
something
will have
that
like a
will be
proposal and a
on
thing.
the agenda for
Unless
city
you want to
council.
give, unless you want to
Perfect.
give the council an anticipated budget.
I don't think that's my
Sure.
place yet.
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
wait,
Okay.
We
yeah.
want to hit them
Alright.
with the poetry first. That's higher
Yeah,
on
just
our.
be
Okay.
someone that's like, I want 3 minutes to comment, to remember, or
Okay.
to remind everyone
Mhm.
Okay.
that this is the thing.
But we're
Okay.
not
We're
just
clear,
asking
that's
people
fine.
to volunteer next summer. We're asking for people to volunteer from now until next summer
Mhm.
to help us
People to
plan
be
it.
part of the planning.
Yes.
Yeah, to
The
be
planning
on
is
the
long-term
planning
thing.
committee, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we have a specific number of how many people you want? Like, we need 5 people very specifically to plug in these
I have
5.
so little faith that anyone
spots.
is gonna volunteer. I feel like I just want, I'm gonna need to think about it.
Sometimes it's
I'll
easier if
check
you're
them on the-
specific.
the city
Because
website.
it's like
Sure.
a mob mentality thing where you say, we need lots of volunteers, it's gonna
Right.
be a big event, then everyone, it's like, people are like, oh yeah, that sounds great. You
And then
know,
nobody
and, but then no one signs up,
Elaine-
but if you're
Sadie.
kind of like, we need
Elaine.
5,
Need a food
5,
coordinator.
we need 5 specific
Yeah.
roles filled by volunteers. And one is food, one is volunteer, one is vendor, you know, XYZ.
Okay.
Then
What comes
you
later?
might strike a specific note. I mean,
Why
heck,
don't we-
Jerry might be
can we
like,
have
oh,
that
I'll
as
do
like
that.
a-
I'll do that.
You and I have a side conversation about that before I go to city council. and we
Let's
can
do a
have a
subcommittee meeting
subcommittee.
about it.
Love it. Okay.
I'll text you a picture of the list that I just made it.
Thank you.
So
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's
Okay.
do it. We could do a subcommittee meeting about it. But when is their next meeting? Are you planning on
There's
going
a
to the next meeting?
14th and the 20th. I don't know. It's really hard for me to get to a meeting right now. So it might have to be online.
Okay.
Like, I-
Oh,
if I
yeah,
can-
totally. Yeah, no, I'm just saying, when does our subcommittee have to meet?
Budget of about 2,000.
Let's, if you want to do a Zoom meeting comment at the last committee meeting,
Like the 28th.
yeah, maybe that'll give us time,
I'll-
you and I, time to eat,
Do all 3
meet,
of us, yeah,
eat.
before I-
Either way, we could eat
Okay,
and
this
meet.
is what I want to think.
Okay. All right,
That way to
team.
get 3 people to a
Mine's
meeting.
here. Part of it.
Yeah.
Back.
And you guys are working. I have much more time.
Are we ready to adjourn? We didn't officially approve all the subcommittees. Can I get somebody to,
So moved.
so moved? Anybody seconding?
Second.
second.
All in favor,
dang it.
vote aye.
Aye.
Subcommittees made. Bang the thing. 10 minutes early.
Okay, I just sent you a
12:50.
picture of Arts at the Creek coordinator
My
roles.
schedule
Just
said
took
2
a picture of, it's real
Text-
janky.
You text it to me, thank you.
Both of you.
Madam.
Texted. Go team.
Yes, so, and then you and I need to meet before the 28th.
Well, I suppose one of us has to do dishes.
Oh, I'll do mine.
I washed my.
Are
mug.
you offering?
I did it.
I think I can try it.
Wow.
I was proud of myself. I figured out how to pour coffee.
There you go.
The coffee was all gone, so I had to
Yeah.
do a double bag of a
I'm
tea.
sorry,
a
I
black
didn't know
tea
you
double
were
bag.
coming behind. I had to text
So
legally.
when we originally planned